so even though we live in Duluth, Minnesota, and our water's right from Lake Superior and good, the pipes are still old.
Oh, yeah.
They still add stuff. If you take prescriptions and pee into the public water, it never gets filtered out 100%.
Oh, damn.
So you drink other people's prescriptions all day.
Whoa.
So even if fluoride's not whatever, all those other things are reasons to not drink tap water.
Well, dude, fluoride's super bizarre compared to, like, I forget, I just heard recently of a different additive that goes into water that they're trying now, but other countries use it, but we use fluoride in the U.S.
Okay.
I forget what it was, but yeah, fluoride's like...
It's a byproduct from coal, some sort of refinery or something. I'm not an expert. There was a time in my life where
you definitely don't need plenty of it in the water, and usually it gets overshot or whatever. So, but yeah, I didn't even know that like fully distilled water is a bad thing, or like purified water. They're like, oh, you just lost all the nutrients that could be in it,
and that's
like
why
the
you get
minerals and whatnot.
And alive water. That's what I've heard. People say about like, you know, they have to still treat it, to put it in the container to ship it to wherever, and then it kills everything. And
bottled water is like the worst water for you.
From the earth, you know. They have the artesian wells.
Yeah.
You know about those?
No. Well, slightly, but like I've heard of, but I don't know anything about.
It's supposed to be very pure water.
Yeah, there's 2 of them in town that I know of. I'm sure there's more.
Yeah.
But one of them is over here on Morris Thomas, and then the other one is by Spirit Mountain also.
Yeah.
And those are straight from the earth wells.
Oh, okay. So, and it's like its own shelf or whatever?
Yeah.
Right? Yes. So we did have one of those in Spokane, Washington. That's where we moved from. And it was a pretty good, like, that's, my wife's like, oh, it's the best water, so now I'm a water snob wherever I go.
Yeah.
But we're like, well, it's not too bad.
Well, I could share those locations with you guys. And then you could add that into your variety of water.
Heck
this jug water is like the best water. I have people that don't, we call it jugging. That's why it's a jugging.
Jugging and thugging.
I be jugging. And I've had people that don't jug.
Yeah.
But they've had our water before. Always say, "Damn, this water's the best." Yeah. I always drink your guys' water in year round because it's the best water.
Yeah.
And so, I like to try to put everyone on to it.
Might as well.
Why drink bad shit when you could have good water?
Right.
And then I think that when we're talking about dead water and stuff like that, this water is heavily processed or heavily filtered, so it does lose, some of its minerals.
Yeah.
But that's why you get like artesian well.
Yeah.
And you have both.
Yep.
So then you don't get tap water. You can have artesian for the minerals.
Yeah.
And because artesian well does have a taste.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to drink all day.
Yeah.
That's why this water, it's so crisp and cream.
Yeah.
Krispy Kreme.
Krispy Kreme. Oh,
crisp and cream.
Yes.
That you just drink it all day. So.
It's so true. That's, like I said, wife was a water snob. Still is, I should say.
Yeah.
So she taught me how to. I was like, I don't know, I just drink out of that puddle.
I
it's just like, you just try, and then there's all these different flavors, But it's like not legit flavored. No. It's like I just have, I've kind of had whatever. There's the ones that leave a film on your mouth, like as soon as you drink it, I'm like, okay, whatever that is, I didn't like that.
Yeah.
I've gotten used to this water so much, I can tell. There's even the artesian well tastes weird to me.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be better.
Right.
Right.
I'd say.
They do. They differ for sure.
It's the mineral composition, like how much of what minerals are in the water that gives it this taste.
It tastes crisper. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. It's super crisp and clean because it probably has no minerals, no fluor, none of that shit. It's just pure water.
Yeah, as far as I know, I think France is pretty on top of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of countries don't let any of the stuff we let slide.
Right? Yeah, I know. There's like a lot of shit in our food where I'm like, oh, that's a bummer. That's no good. Like, if nobody else is even going to allow you to do that, like, why are we doing that? There's like definitely been a window of time where I started to become aware, and I'm like, I mean, fuck it, I guess, and now I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, I really don't want to do that. Like, let's try to not have the most processed shit ever. And
I feel that because
preservatives is the big thing, like pesticides and preservatives,
pesticides, and then like artificial synthetic chemical. There's so much crazy of that stuff.
That just
dyes
shit out
and all
of
that
thin
stuff.
Some
of the dyes are sourced from spirulina.
What's that?
It's algae.
Okay.
So it's whether
like semi-organic.
Yeah, whether how processed it is, it still has at least an organic source. where other things don't. They're just completely synthetic or synthesized.
Yeah.
When I was changing my life, like we were talking about with like psychedelics and stuff, I went vegan and only ate raw food for a while.
Yeah.
And then I fell off of that and kind of like what you were saying, like you cared a little bit and then you're like, well, fuck it.
Yeah.
But now I've just gotten back into like, if it's not in the house, I won't eat it. So choosing to not buy anything in the middle of grocery stores.
Yeah.
Just kind of go around the edges.
Yeah.
And then have a list like, oh, I need cans of beans and tea. And then just go to those aisles.
Intentional. Yeah.
Because otherwise you're going to go through the chip aisle and you're getting 4 bags.
Oh,
you're getting cereal bars and all this crazy shit that it fills you, but it has no nutritional value.
Right.
And I did carnivore because I have really bad eczema sometimes.
Okay.
So I did carnivore for a while. And when you do carnivore, you don't shit a lot because your body uses everything.
Okay.
That's why it's called shit. Because the more shit you eat, the more shit you shit.
Right. That's actually pretty fair. Yeah. If it's not burnable.
Yeah.
You know.
If your body isn't going to consume it, it's just waste.
All right.
So that's changed my outlook on life a lot. Like the more I'm shitting,
is carnivore like keto?
Yes. It is keto because you don't use any carbs or sugar. You burn off of fat.
Yeah.
And so you could do something like ketovore, where carnivore is an elimination diet because you have something wrong with your body, like a chronic illness, like eczema, psoriasis, something like that. That's why someone will go on carnivore strictly, and then start introducing things into their diet to see what gives them effects.
The side effects and whatnot. Yeah.
And so I've realized that I'm like allergic to like plants.
Oh yeah.
You know, like I can eat apples, but like bananas make me feel weird. Any green vegetables make me feel weird. Like, I always thought I felt weird when I ate a salad because it was detoxing me. No, it's toxins, and my body is like you're not supposed to have this.
Yeah.
You know, and so it depends on your heritage for one thing too.
Well, blood type I thought was a thing too, right? Like a lot of A types are more red meat focused, and then O types are like pescatarian or something.
Oh, really?
And, yeah, that's what I've heard, you know. And like
come on,
A,
Jamie,
B, or D,
look this up.
something like that. It could be complete bullshit, but that's what I've learned. Like growing, and I think I read it in a book. It was like way long ago. Okay. But I think it was like A, B was kind of vegetarian based or something, or B.
Okay.
But yeah, I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. But heritage, all of it, it's all the same, because it's like this is coming from somewhere. We're a complex build that's just stacked genes, and like you've got your whatever your dominant genes lead to whatever traits you pay most attention to, I'm sure. Yeah. And so that's food wise, I'm like, I fucking love fish. Like a lot. I could live out. I mean, I don't like fishy smells, but in terms of like eating, just like, man, fish is just the right weight for me, and like that's like a replenishing meal and whatnot. I've grown up on steak, and I just hit like a brick wall not long ago, and it was like, as you get older, there's just like, and then one day I found out like beans were gonna fuck my life up, like from that point on, and you're like, oh shoot, okay, I guess I don't get that anymore. Just super bizarre. It's like a anti-evolutionary type of deal, you know.
I think when that comes from might be like the overconsumption of foods that shouldn't be. Because a lot of foods like rice and beans and like a lot of heavy vegetable meals is slavery food, or your economy crashed and you're just eating what you can. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Meat should be like your number one diet thing. And so if you eat a huge amount of beans throughout your life, there's a point where your body's like, okay, you've had too much of this. Yeah. Where you never get that if you eat eggs or meat.
It's like a chunk of soul foods where you're like, oh, it's intestine rinds or whatever. And it's like, well, it wasn't supposed to be a thing, but that's what you had, right? You know, like that's rough. But there's also real good shit, too. Yeah. So,
like a brisket.
Yes. Dude, I freaking love brisket.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Me and him used to work at a wedding place up the North Shore. Yeah. And he said that he didn't like fish. Well, there was a fish that he did like there. It was the breaded walleye. Yeah. And they made breaded walleye and brisket, short rib all the time for all these weddings.
Sounds phenomenal.
And whatever was left, we got to eat. So we got to eat like $200 worth of brisket like every night. Yeah. And it was the best job ever. You could just get fucked up, eat good food, and just have a nice time.
Dude, that's like kitchen life.
kitchen
is
life.
is like when you're just, you could even just run tables or whatever. You're not even like doing sous chef stuff, but it's like the kitchen at like a high end place, and then it's like, well, kitchen staff's got to eat, and they whip together like the same shit, and then you're just eating it for free.
Yeah.
And then going out for a smoke break or something. You're like, dude, I can't imagine a better life where you get top tier shit. Didn't pay for it. I'm actually getting paid to eat this.
Yeah.
And it's also like the most colorful place back in the kitchen, other side of the wall, completely different universe. So
Yeah, everyone's like this. Yes, my food is delectable. And then in the back, they're like, where the fuck's the salmon?
Yep, exactly. That's exactly how it is.
Who took
But
my meth?
so
I
many
knew I had it
places.
in my jacket.
There's so many places that are like that, for sure.
Yeah.
Like tons of resorts. I grew up in eastern Washington and the panhandle of Idaho, up quite a ways, like along with Spokane.
Okay.
So I grew up 2 hours south of Spokane.
Okay.
But right next to Spokane is Coeur d'Alene, and it's like a resort town. It's almost like a
Like
kind of like a
ski
tax
resort?
haven. No, it's like a well,
Tax
yeah,
haven.
yeah.
So it's like cul-de-sacs?
No. It's well, there definitely is, but there's a lot of wealthy people that go out there because it's cheap living, and and so there's like this, not too many, but there's like aristocratic pockets, and like nicer resorts to go to on the lake and whatnot. So it's, I mean, yeah, there's like affordable living out there too, families, and just like, I don't know, a boat they found on Marketplace for like $5,000. And then there's like the handcrafted wood boats out there that are like $500,000 or like $100,000 or something like that.
Handcrafted boat?
Yeah, so there's
Sick.
it's quite a mix up out there out on Coeur d'Alene. But yeah, I worked at my first time getting back into work after I broke my leg skating was working at one of those kitchens, just as a temp agency thing, and I was on my feet for like, I think it was gonna be like an 8-hour shift of running, and that was the only time I've ever tapped out, and I was like so bummed out because I'm like, this would be the perfect spot to like, great food, good time. I got along with kitchen staff there, but I've helped out in other situations too. Like Walla Walla down by where I grew up is like wine country, and it's like comparable to like Napa Valley and Champagne or Bordeaux or whatever. So it's like working class. So you can go wine tasting, have some of the best wine while you're like rocking blue jeans.
Nice.
You're like, I'm not gonna spit this out into a spittoon. I'm just gonna chug it and have a good time.
I think I seen something like that because I went to Portland and
that's like food epicenter, man. That's where all the
up
good shit's
into
going.
the mountains and got an Airbnb. And on the way in those mountains, we passed by like some vinery. What do you call it? Vinery?
Vineyards. Yeah,
Vineyard.
Yeah.
We went by these vineyards and saw that they had wine tasting, like a sign, and I was like, that actually sounds really good. And we were far enough out that it probably wasn't some super hipster shit where you're spending. You can go in there in some blue jeans and just say, "What up? I'm here to try some wine."
Yep.
Instead of,
well, you can go in fancy if you want,
Well,
but yeah, chill.
chill
It's very
back,
chill.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I like it out there. It reminds me of Duluth a lot. If it was a rainforest, like it's just so thick and uncut. They never cut down the west side there. Like, that's where they stopped. But all out here, besides the boundary waters, like he was saying, that's where they stopped cutting all the trees. Like, they just went across the whole country. But Duluth and Portland are like almost identical cities. The way they're all hilly. There's a bridge that's the two sides, like Superior and Duluth.
Yep.
But it's just like there's slugs and ferns growing on everything.
Yeah, I was gonna say lots of ferns, lots of Sitka spruce out there, like big evergreen trees. You start to get redwoods probably right around Portland. I don't know how far up they go, but that's like Northern California is known for their redwoods for sure.
There was really huge trees, but I just assumed all trees were bigger out there.
Oh yeah.
Just because they're right next to the sea, they're just full of nutrients. It's like a
rainforest. Oh yeah, it's a haven for them for sure. Yeah, because it's dense out there. That's actually up in the Seattle, the Puget Sound area. The Sitka spruce population there was so healthy. That's why Boeing, the airplane company, is situated there. Is because there was so much wood, and all their planes initially were made out of wood for like their frame.
Oh.
And Sitka spruce has got like such a good grain pattern with like minimal impurities and stuff like that, like knots and stuff.
Okay.
So that's why they wound up there, is all the good woodworking. Like, I mean, it goes up through Canada too, and like southeastern Alaska.
Nice.
That's
Okay.
like that's all logging and whatnot. But
Right.
yeah, down to like Eureka in California, there's some like really cool lush green places with just monstrous trees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw one, like, walking here, you see a tree knocked over a river. It's like this thick.
Yeah.
Down there was like, you could just walk on it as a bridge. I was like, this is so sick. Like,
Right.
their version of our things are just like 10 times, everything was 10 times bigger.
Oh yeah, massive. But I mean, good luck trying to make a cabinet out of it. You're like, I'm just gonna cut down a little bit of this. You know,
Yeah.
like everything's super workable out here.
True.
It was nuts, like getting
Yeah.
to know the culture out here, where it's like there's guys that, I mean, I'm a skateboarder, and that's kind of more the crowd I hang out with.
Right.
But it's like
We both skate.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
no way.
Yeah.
I'm like pretty terrible now, but I still
too.
enjoy skating.
I've never
Yeah.
landed a trick, but
Yeah?
I can ride.
Dude, we shall. I'm sure we're gonna do this. We're
Okay.
probably gonna go out and push wood, man. Let's
Yeah.
push wood.
Yeah.
Park in Gary.
They do have
Yeah,
a new skate park out
that
there.
park is pretty fun.
Yeah.
That is a good one. It's definitely like
It's slanted a little bit.
yeah.
I've noticed that if you just stand on your board, you just slide. I'm like, there's
Yeah.
no just sitting here. You
Oh,
have
yeah.
to either move or
Yeah.
sit down.
Well, that's for runoff, so that it doesn't pool up and then like as the water
Oh.
freezes and then like cracks all your concrete. So it's all pretty intentional.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's definitely a high speed circuit too, where you're like, okay, if I'm gonna pump around here, I gotta get somewhere to get out of the way, because it all like kind of feeds circularly
Yeah.
and whatnot.
So you can
So it's-
shred the whole park.
Yeah, but there's guys that just make it look super easy.
Yeah, that's
There was a
crazy.
kid
Yeah.
there that was just like gliding around, and I was like, I don't even know how to drop in yet.
Yep. Yep.
And I'm just like really tall. Like I try to skate a lot
Yeah.
throughout my youth whenever my friends had a skateboard. And I just never had it until one day I bought a skateboard because I wanted to learn. My friend told me, just breathe, pretend you're on mushrooms or something like that.
Yeah.
And it just instantly I knew how I could just skateboard from
Yeah,
there
it's,
on.
stay natural.
Yeah.
Right?
I was just being too rigid about it instead of just like having it be part of my body.
Right?
Instead of like a bike, you ride a bike. You don't ride a skateboard. You're
Right.
with the skateboard.
Yeah. And the more loose it is too, the less you have to try. It's like the more subconscious it becomes. Because I grew up skating tight trucks. Because I was like, well, I don't want this thing wobbling around, and I'd like tic-tac around and stuff when I started doing street. And then when we got a bowl park, that would have been, dude, I'm going to date myself here. That would have been like 2005, something like that. It was like the first big bowl park, had 10-foot bowls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to learn how to do this, but my trucks were tight, so I'm like going up walls, and then I'd have to kick turn and then land the board like pretty much at the exact angle I needed to come down at. And they're like, don't tighten your trucks. And all these guys were riding super loose trucks.
I keep mine really loose just out of what I
Yeah.
thought felt good for me. So
Yeah.
it's kind of cool that that's like a better technique for learning tricks.
Oh yeah,
'Cause I never even
loose is
thought about
way
it that
better.
way.
Loose is the way to learn. It's kind of like if you start to try and learn to ollie in grass, just don't, like, because it's not gonna be the same when you get to concrete. Like, and you're gonna have a bad time.
I've never
you're gonna
taken
banana peel hard.
Necessarily like a baby step, like something like that, like trying it in the grass.
Yeah.
But I haven't like I always try to make sure I'm pushing when I try to do my kickflips. I don't like sit
Yeah.
still kickflips.
You're more stable.
But I think that I would be better at like the more untraditional tricks where
Yeah.
you just like learn how to do weird shit with your legs and like flip the
Yeah.
board around. I feel like that would, if I
Like
could
Killian
get
Martin
comfortable doing that,
Yeah.
then once I am up on something, I can actually, I don't
Yeah.
know, that's just how I feel.
Well, that's what it should be. It's like an infinite canvas. So that's the cool part about it, which is why it's so weird and ironic that they have like competitions where you're like, how do you score stuff?
Right.
But there's
How
a structure to
smooth-
it.
How
Yeah.
smooth they did their trick and how well they
Yeah.
landed it. I guess that's
Right?
all you got.
Well, and
Olympic skating, I always thought about that.
right?
Yeah.
You're like,
How to judge. Because some people might be like that. The crowd might think different, you know?
right?
And they don't probably consider that. Like,
No.
Yeah. They should have that be a thing where if it's like the crowd mutinies and they start throwing stuff and the judges are like, all right, we're going to go back and recount this.
Exactly.
People are not stoked right now. Yeah.
It's supposed to be a community thing, you know?
Yeah.
Keep it like
Involved.
Rome. Keep it like Rome. If the crowd disagrees,
Yeah,
throw
yeah.
stoned.
That's right. Yeah, they tell Caesar what's up.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, I loved once I've learned to ride loose trucks and do transition, I liked skateboarding way more than when I did street.
Okay.
And now I live out here and I'm like, I need to learn how to do street again. I haven't done street for like forever. But now there's transition out at Gary and whatnot.
Right.
So I have fun with that.
There used to be that skate park in Lincoln underneath the highway.
Yeah.
And then they
Yeah,
redid the
Midtown.
highway. It's in Midtown, and now that's gone.
Yeah.
That was a cool park.
That was the first park I saw a competition at,
The-
like a
the mini
community
ramp one?
competition. Like underneath, they moved that. Where'd they move that park to?
Some of the parks now are at Kings Creek Dog Park. They have a skate park there at the dog park over by the library. Under
Okay.
the highway over there. I don't know if you know about that or not.
Like not Pocket Park, right? The library.
The West Duluth Library.
Oh, West Duluth. No, I don't.
Yeah, not the
know that
little
one.
pocket one down there.
Yeah,
That's below the
Pocket
depot.
Park's like DIY through
Yeah.
and through. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't know where the other one is yet. I just knew there was the one that's got like it's got a boob in there, maybe two, like the little speed hump that you
Yeah.
can like power slide over in a spine with like a parking block. I knew there was that one under the highway, but the other one that was closer into town with the mini ramp, I think that's the one you're talking about,
Yeah.
right? Because they're like, well, we're gonna build through here for the interchange or
Exactly.
whatever.
Yeah.
That's one of the first. I think that was one of the first parks I went to when I got into town.
Yeah.
That was
It sucks they got rid of it.
right because that was
I
a
do.
fun park.
Or just put it back, you know?
And
Dude,
you could
I-
skate there when it was raining.
Yeah.
Like you
'Cause
were under
I
the
love
highway.
skating those boxes.
Like-
Super fun.
In certain places like California or like somewhere where it's more popular, like they don't care if they build because it's building to the structure of the highway. So they can build their own type of parks and like.
Right,
I wish we could do that, but I feel like we'd get in trouble for sure.
dude. That's
Brand new.
yeah. No, I feel you on that.
That's
You can get away with it. You can.
Just do it at night and just.
There's
Just
ways
you
to
get
do
there
it.
and don't show up for a week.
That's right.
And then show up and be like, oh dang, who left this here?
Oh man, I changed it. I was gonna show you. I changed my work email photo to a skate shot at that park, and it was the wedge ramps. I just made a gap out of it. It was just me gapping it.
Nice.
That was
Sick.
pretty fun. It was a good spot, but I know I got it.
What trick were you trying to do when you broke your leg?
Oh, I was just doing a front slash, like a front 5-0 in transition, maybe like 3 foot high. Just doing a little slash kick turn. And my back foot came off the tail and I kind of did the splits, which usually I'm like, okay, that sucks. But just, I don't know,
Yeah.
just snapped my leg a little bit and
Who?
Sometimes it's
yeah,
like
just a
that.
little bit.
Nothing
you
out
know?
the flash or nothing crazy?
No, but it was it was almost compound. It was a full spiral, but it's kind of like the ye old break right above the ankle that people get and they get a plate and stuff.
Yeah.
As soon as it happened to me, and then people would be like, "Oh yeah, you probably got a plate and 7 screws." And I was like, "I think that's exactly what happened. I don't. How do you know?" And they're like, "Look," and I'm like, "That's my leg," and they're like, "No, that's my leg." It's just crazy. So many
Okay.
people get it. I'm gonna see if I can find this shot
You
because
can just skate throughout the year, so if you have a passion for it, you know.
right.
The skills, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I saw Tony Hawk on his video do like a 900, and he's like 60 something.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
crazy.
like the last 900 that he did.
And he
and-
smashed so many times. And he took
Oh,
those hits.
dude, he took it like a champ.
That's crazy.
Cause that was pretty gnarly. That was very, very gnarly, but pretty cool. I've never gotten to skate with him. I've always wanted to, cause he seems very chill now. I mean, he's been chill because he was the nerd. He was like the underdog, you know.
Yeah.
And so, and out west, it's like pro skaters are just like they're everywhere because there's so many good parks that like you can just be like skate trip over to Seattle. You're bound to see somebody.
Right.
I think one of the last skate trips I took there, I got to skate with Adam Diet, and I had just seen him in the X Games, and I was like, that was pretty cool. But
That's sick.
a handful of friends that go am or pro or whatever, and it's almost inevitable. It's pretty cool, but I was never down to push myself so hard that I was gonna break myself off.
Yeah, I've gotten lucky and only got away with no breaks, but little fractures here and there.
Right there, that was the gap at the.
That's nice. That's
Yeah,
nice
it was a
right
fun one. Just boned out just a little bit,
there. Yeah, that half pipe that was there.
Here, put the.
Oh yeah, give her a little We'll zoom in.
At least they know what we're talking about. Here, let me see what's going on.
For all the listeners, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's on YouTube, so there's much.
That's so cool. So it streams with video and whatnot. I mean, it makes sense.
It's not live, but.
No. But to be able to put it up, you guys got quite a good setup here.
Yeah, it's decent
It's pretty rad.
You know, doing my best. You know, I want to get different backdrops where I can have it more customizable to like the personalities I feel my guests have.
That's
so
pretty
like
cool.
I could have one that's like a fishing only setup, or this setup for crystal girls, and you know, like whoever you know have different things. I'm gonna grab another drink.
Yeah, do your thing. Dude, I screwed up last night because I had a banner for a backdrop for the band, and it was in my car, out in the parking lot, and I didn't put it up. And it's iCarly, and it was her just like this, and with a rainbow, and it says "Believe in Yourself," the background, and her face is on the sun in the corner too.
You're gonna have to send a picture to Miles or something.
Not. I was telling him I snagged an iCarly banner that's just says "Believe in Yourself," and she's like the sun in the background too with a rainbow, just like that.
Okay.
And I was gonna put that up behind the band for the show.
Oh damn.
Yeah, and it was in the car and I forgot, so that'll be up on the show for the 28th.
Okay.
I'm sure that'll be a Caddyshack.
Where was it? At Caddyshack?
Yeah,
Okay.
Caddyshack.
I haven't been there. I don't know what their
Where is that?
venue's like.
It's a fun spot. It's like just kind of the like the beginning of West Duluth area, where like Curly's is and whatnot. It's
Okay.
like
Lincoln
it's
Park,
right next to Curly's.
Okay.
So
True.
yeah, Lincoln Park.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where would you? Well, I guess West Duluth is where we were, huh?
Yep. So West
I'd
Duluth
say that's Lincoln
starts.
Park still.
Yeah.
Like where Wheeler is, that's where I consider Lincoln Park.
Oh, Wheeler's the
Yeah.
start of West Duluth.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that train bridge
Mhm.
is what splits West Duluth from Lincoln Park.
Yeah.
And then you have the Central Hillside, downtown Central Hillside, Congdon, Leicester. Maybe it's that whole east side, Congdon, east side, Leicester. Either or, that's how that side is. And then you have Lincoln Park, West Duluth, Norton Park, Riverside, Norton Park, Riverside,
Morgan Park?
Morgan Park, Gary,
Yeah.
Fond du Lac. That's like the stretch of Duluth.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's like a bunch of its own little townships. I
Yeah,
guess, in a
as you
weird
go
way.
along the main stretches through.
Yeah.
I got a friend out towards Morgan Park. He used to run the Encounter.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
I miss that place, man.
Right?
I went there
Yeah.
as a kid, and they let me in when I wasn't. You're supposed to be like 9. I was 7.
Yeah.
I lied about my age and got in. I had a great time.
Yep. Yeah, Tyler's rad. He actually built he built a mini ramp in his backyard. He's just past like the zoo. And he's got a mini ramp and then a wedge ramp off of it too.
Yeah.
And then just all in this side yard, and so we like go and skate there in the summer times. It's
It'd
really
be
awesome.
to
guy.
have like some property to do that. Right?
Yeah.
It's
Well,
all paved. He has it paved out.
No, he built it on frame, but he also
Oh.
there's a church across the street that he started. I think he started doing services there like a couple years back. It's just kind of like ragtag bunch of folks. Really cool, like just very honest. And the basement, he put I think the rest of the Encounter in the basement of this church.
Oh.
And the headspace is maybe this high.
Wow.
Like maybe, and it's got like banks with boxes and stuff. And you're like, this is like, you got to navigate that.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. But
That's cool.
Tyler's super rad.
That's got to be loud.
Ah, yeah, it's fine.
Well, yeah, you're up
Yeah.
there with all the music.
Well,
right
and he
in your
knows
ears, but-
knows everybody like in the neighborhood too. So it's a pretty chill neighborhood.
Oh,
Yeah, his dad lives around the way too and whatnot. It's just like a nice, refreshing neighborhood. I miss the days where I grew up. Was probably like the last, at least in Washington, was like probably the last of the era of like block parties and stuff.
Okay.
Where just people know each other in the neighborhood and they're like, well, it's 4th of July. We're just going to set shit out in the front yard and then everybody's going to cook and hang out and shoot off fireworks and whatnot. And his neighborhood seems kind of ish like that. You know?
Yeah, we've lost a lot of that, but there's still a little bit of it here
Yeah.
and there for sure.
Lincoln Park's still like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, friendliness out here is just unmatched. Like I was saying, like even if passive aggressive is a thing, I'm like, if that's as worse as it gets, so
Yeah.
be it. That's fine.
Yeah.
Like if that's like most of, I don't know, the hardship that you face socially. I mean, otherwise you got to be pretty intentional and like have some beef with somebody for something to formulate.
There's definitely some people that are ready to do something at any minute.
Yeah.
Like crackheads and shit like that.
Oh,
But for
yeah.
the most regular people,
Yeah.
there's a lot of like our customer service. Every person is,
Right?
but they're not actually mean. They're just
Yeah.
It's like where there's a lot of walls. People
Yeah,
have a lot of
just a
walls
little
around here
grumpy.
where everyone, how are you? Good. Like there's
Yeah.
no like actual like okay.
Yeah.
And one thing that I try to do is a lot of people are afraid to make eye contact. Like
Yeah.
I've noticed that at work, if I just stare at someone as they come up, they just won't look at me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're people. Like, why don't want you to look? You could beat my ass,
Right?
and you can't look at me in the eyes.
Yeah.
Like, that always has changed.
It's
been
pretty
weird.
nuts how humans are like reverse engineering themselves, or like we're like devolving.
Yeah.
Seems like, because yeah, we're social animals. That was like my thing when I did youth ministry. I wasn't like, yeah, I'm gonna evangelize or anything. It was just like I stumbled into the job. Really, they were like, you worked really well with our kids. Let's start something. And I'm like, are you sure about that? Like, I don't know if I'm the guy for the gig. But there was, because I wasn't ever about like pressing to like try and, I mean, like I had my faith and whatnot, and I enjoyed the community and whatnot, but I didn't ever want anyone to feel uncomfortable or like they were, because it can be very divisive. And I spent as much time as I could at the skate park because that was my happy place. And then right when I got there, they were like, "Oh, you're going to do outreach at the skate." I was like, yeah, that's why I'm leaving the out." Sure, yep, put that down on. That's me working right now, and then I just go skate and hang out with people. But there's, it's like I never expected to be like, how do you just get a kid to show up at youth group and say, "Yep," and then there's probably gonna be Bible verses and whatnot. You're just gonna jump right in. But I'm
Right.
like, hey, we got free spaghetti on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
You can come hang out. There's gonna be people you know from your school.
That's
I'm
when I
sure.
would show up on the encounter was Wednesdays because they'd have the Bible,
Yeah,
and it was just like for like 30 minutes. You get some free
Yeah,
food,
just
you
a little
talk,
bit.
and then you go skate.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's awesome.
That's
And
super
I'm
good.
hungry, man. I've been skating for like 2 hours.
yeah. Of course.
I think that community thing is super important, and
Yeah.
that with the dying of religion, that so is that community thing. Because
Yeah.
I went to Catholic school, I don't claim any religion now that I'm an
Yeah.
adult and out of that type of atmosphere, but I see the super huge importance in it. Like,
Yeah,
it's just super impactful. All my morals, like, I live as if the 7 deadly sins are like the things I need to avoid in my life.
Yeah.
Even though I don't go by the Bible verses or pray to a specific person, I live
yeah,
like those morals that I was luckily taught.
yeah,
And that's the thing is like you can't just teach someone that. You got to get them in that environment and slowly they'll understand,
yeah.
you know.
That was like when I try and sell kids on like coming into a youth group on a Wednesday or whatever, and they were just far from the pitch, like at least for the average Joe, where it wouldn't work with them. I'm like, okay, just hear me out. Humans are a social critter, right? Like if you want to look at it scientifically, we're not apex predators with like big claws that can run 60 miles an hour or anything like that. We're at the top of the chain because we socially work together, and there's people that can survive all on their own, and that's impressive to us
Right.
because that's not natural. So it's like if you're just gonna look at it objectively, like come hang out and learn just how to not be a dick to people, and then maybe school will go a little smoother or whatever.
Right.
But nothing that you have to like swear by and shut doors to other people. Because I mean, for some people that's healthy and that's what they need to do. But I don't think people should just be obligated to be like, and now I don't talk to them because they're bad for me or whatever. But it's just kind of
People
like
get that entitlement from that,
Yeah.
that safety from something. Like
Yeah.
when I first went to rehab, I told my friends, at least I was honest and told them, but I was like,
Yeah.
I don't think I can be friends with you during my rehab because I'll be around it.
Mm-hmm.
But then I started doing it anyways, and then I just looked like a super big hypocrite.
yeah,
And it's like, you shouldn't cut people out. You should be able to be strong enough to know better. You know,
Right.
I don't do drugs anymore. If for some chance I go over to my friend's house and they're doing blow, I just watch them. It doesn't bother me in
Yeah.
any way. Like, it doesn't make me want it. It doesn't make me mad at them. I just go, oh, they're doing that. It's like someone hitting a vape.
Yeah.
They're just doing it.
Mhm.
Okay. Oh, they're smoking a cigarette. You know, just things like that.
Well, and we're human, so it's like, if you think you're just gonna ace getting sober first try, like, you might bum yourself out.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's like, dude, it's not everybody just knocks it out of the park. So, and that's okay. You
Right.
know, and also, if something that I struggle a lot with is like mandated programs for sobriety. Like, I get why they exist and why they're trying to do it, but it's like you can lead a horse to water, right? But you can't make it drink.
Right.
It's like you could fund that, put someone into it, but if they're not ready to like do that, they should be. It's hard when they usually set up these programs and they're like, well, if you say that you're ready to do this, it'll be easier on like whatever your, I don't know, whatever, I don't even know the term, but what the court decides for you, your punishment, I guess I would say. It's like, oh, you'll have less time to spend or whatever, and this is like an easier mitigated result if you agree to this, which
Right.
is good. They deserve to at least have the opportunity to do it. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's like, if somebody's not ready to get sober, then don't.
Most of those
Don't
places
force it down their
are
throat,
like a
you know?
community for people to find new dealers and new clients.
Right. It's
That's
so
usually
true.
what it is.
Yeah, and then also with like added costs that build up going to like jail, where you're like, okay, you got caught with blow, you're going to jail, you've got these fines, and now that you went to jail, you're paying room and board for jail time, and you've got a due date for your first payment. You don't have a job because you just went to jail, so you lost your last job. But you got to come up with this money by this time. What are they gonna do?
Right.
I know how to sell blow, or I know where I bought blow from, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna. And it's like vicious cycle.
Yeah.
That happens a lot. It doesn't happen everywhere, but that was the community that I experienced
I've
in
seen
my
that.
hometown growing up, where I'm like, there's a lot of meth stuff that's like, this is not gonna end. It's just
No.
gonna keep going.
Yeah.
So, yeah, pretty gnarly. But it's always cool to see people get clean that wanted to get clean, and also like, it's really hard for someone to want a counselor or like a sponsor that's never been an addict.
Yes.
It's like, I don't know if you can empathize. So.
That's actually crazy because I think that like most fields that people choose are really personal in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
That are the best at it. So like therapists, a lot of people like, I want to go into psychology. My dream is if I get enough money from this stuff that I can just pay for psychology to help do psychedelics with veterans and PTSD.
Yeah.
I think that's something I really love because it's helped me.
That's super cool.
And it's like weird. I've realized that like all these people I know that want to be therapists and stuff like that, they're always fucked up.
Yeah.
So learning that they feel like they'll learn about themselves, or the only way they feel good is to actually help other people.
Yeah.
I resonate with that hella. I'm like, that's awesome.
Right? It's like you could go through some heavy stuff in your life, but know that through that you are now being equipped to help the next person. And it's an opportunity. I mean, some people are like, I went through some shit and I don't ever want to think about it again, and I've done a good job at compartmentalizing that into the back of my brain. That might be how they cope, but largely there's a lot of people that are like, hey, I can relate to what you're going through, and then that is really throwing out a lifeline for that person, whether it's like, I don't know, drugs or finances or whatever, trying to figure out your major for school. It could be anything,
Yeah.
Like,
Any of those little life experiences, and a lot of times you don't take them because I remember hearing a lot of things and I'd say, I know, and I just keep fucking off. But when something happened to me, I would always think back. I'd be like, that's why they said that.
That is exactly what they said.
And then it gets stuck in your head, and it like gets grinded into your stone of like the person you're gonna be. And you wouldn't have had those options. Like I have a big homie who like helped me get sober and like rekindle relationships with my family and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
And a lot of the things that he's said to me, I will forget about for 5 years. And then something happens, and then I'm like, I remember he said that shit. This is now when I use it,
Yep.
And I like to be that person for people too. Just tell them things that probably don't matter to them right now, but maybe 15 years they'll understand what I mean.
Right?
Just a little seed.
It's so true. And it's like also depends on the flavor of the deliverer of the message too. You know, like, shoot, parents, we are probably never going to really truly listen to our parents. Like, we will go back and apologize to them later and be like, I'm sorry, I totally get why you said that, but like in the moment you can almost not hear it because it's too close of a source.
Yeah.
But if it's somebody distant enough and relatable enough, there's something to that mix where you're like, I don't know why, but I'm taking advice from that guy and it makes sense. My mom said that like 40 times 3 years ago, but he said it and now I'm gonna do it.
That's so true.
Right.
Yeah.
Dude, that happens so much.
I've had that firsthand experience where I've told people about like jug water.
Yeah.
And like, this is bad, and I keep telling them, and then one day they're like, you know what I saw? I was on TikTok and this person said that all the things you said were right. Well, yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. I had no idea. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, I'm the one that told you that.
Yep.
Someone gives you new information that you told them. I'm like, all right, bro. I get it.
There is something to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I agree, like, experiences in life kind of tailor you to interest. And that's, like, a big thing for me. Well, I was just probably born into it and beaten into my head, but, like, music is, like, my band being called Slape is because Grandpa and all my uncles and my mom, they're all musicians. And it's, like, family get-togethers. My family on my mom's side is, they would make a really good book or a movie.
Okay.
Like, they're characters. And it's just
Is that their
interesting.
last name?
Yeah, Slape was.
Okay.
Slape is.
I heard him ask, but I never heard your answer.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
too distracted by whatever.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, Slape's my mom's maiden name.
Okay.
And I learned how to build like a fast street racing muscle car from my uncles.
Dang.
And like, oh, here's a good place to go to a junkyard to steal parts.
Hell
like,
yeah.
And also like, here's how you play it. If you really want to play the blues, you 1-4-5 on a G chord like this. So it's like that's my family roots are all in that. So it's and
They
now,
were all musicians too?
yeah, pretty much, honestly. I think the only one who wasn't was my Aunt Terry. My mom had, what is this? I'm going to get it wrong. 7 brothers and sisters, I think it was. There was, starting at the oldest, there's Weldon and Eldon were twins. Weldon's the elder, Eldon's the welder, is how we remembered them.
Well, it's
And
a
then-
tongue twister.
Right? And then I think there was, Randy was next, and then Terry Carey, and then my mom, mom was youngest, Uncle Ryan or Jerry. So Jerry and Sherry, they assumed they were twins because there was twins all throughout my mom's side of the family. So yeah, there were 7 of them.
True.
And my Aunt Terry, I think, was the only one who didn't really do music. But,
Okay.
But yeah, everybody else was like, and it's not like she doesn't like music, she loves music.
Right.
But our family get-togethers are just like, hey, celebrations that we aren't like super heartfelt, like, oh yeah, Christmas is our favorite time of the year or anything like that. But it's like we check in and everybody rolls in late or something like that. And it's like, all right, where's the food? We sit down. Everybody brings their instruments. We call them guitar barbecues. And we just like have jam sessions with the family.
That's
We're like,
sick.
hey, nobody's in jail. Nobody died. Like, this is okay. All right, that's pretty great.
That's wholesome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So that's like where it all comes from for me. And now I'm 1,400 miles away from them, but that's where I'm like, the music feeds me because that's like what I've experienced.
Right.
So that's why I want to write, and also because I love Minnesota. So I'm like, I would love to write about Minnesota, my good friendships I've built here, but also about family history too, because it's like that's where you come from.
That's
you know?
cool.
Yeah.
Dang. Man.
Yeah.
Your family's all musicians, and then it's just like in the blood like that.
Yeah.
That's cool. I was talking about genetics yesterday with our guest about teaching your kids the things that you want them to pass on to make your genetics stronger in the future. Mm-hmm. And so, like, whether that's you go on runs with them so that their cardio gets better, because I have asthma and stuff. So if I run with my daughter, maybe she won't develop it. Then her kids won't. Like, I could strengthen my genetic bloodline.
Okay.
And so, like, acquiring certain skills, I think, is part of that too. Whether it's not necessarily like play the piano or the guitar, but learn how to read music. Because then that part of the brain is more active, and then her kids will have a brain that's more active at being able to read music and stuff like that.
That makes sense, because there's like a lot of, on the Slape side of the family, like the whole joke is, okay, everybody's or most everybody's served, at least all the boys have, been to jail and like played music and is running from Johnny Law in some way. And I think like the original Slape that made it across to the States was running from the law in like Wales or something.
Okay.
And then they joined the US military as a drummer. And we're the same. They've been the same the whole time. Like the only difference is they didn't have like small block V8s back then.
Right.
They probably would have had a muscle car or something.
Yeah.
But I bet over time there's a lot of like musical intuition that's come from it.
Cool.
So like maybe not so much like the sheet reading, but like structuring and social cues, like playing with others. I like to write on my own, but I like playing with others and not even like being, okay, I'm going to lead you in that, but just like kind of sneaking in. Like I'll just play some guitar behind you, like I'll harmonize whatever you're
I like
singing.
that.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
That reminds me of like freestyling, or just music for me in general is
Yeah.
very similar to that too, because I like writing by myself.
Yeah.
But when I record by myself, I feel like I'm in a box and rigid and a robot. But when we're freestyling, we got all these weird voices and
Yeah.
energies, and it's just like so much more alive.
Yeah.
So I feel that like when you have that, and in the community, exactly, you're supposed to make music with people.
Yeah.
It was never like a solo thing until we had instruments. Because one person was slapping their knee and the other person was going, "Ooh," and
Yeah.
the other person was, "Ah."
Yeah. Dude, it's so true, man.
You
It's
know?
interactive, it's interconnective, it's an art that's like you get to express yourself, but also in doing so and connecting with someone, you just kind of like expose yourself. It might not even be like I just shared my deepest, darkest secret, but almost like on that level where you're like, this is the sound I like to make. This is what I like to do, and I'm resonating with that person too
Right.
as I do it, and we're like hyping each other up.
Yeah.
And there's like a lot of satisfaction or relief that comes from it.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I mean, that's why I write and get our stuff out is I'm just like, well, hopefully these songs do something for someone else.
Yeah.
Even if they're not there at the show for me to fully interact with, where I get super anxious, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm just like a mess. I will always have stage fright.
I'm that
Yeah.
right now. I'm that. But 2 minutes before you got here, me and him were like walking back and forth in there.
Yeah.
And it's just
I was
even
more
though,
nervous too.
Yeah.
And
Being
even
in the
though-
crowd and you not like you made me not feel like nervous. I don't know.
Yeah.
You not being nervous made me not nervous. You know.
yeah, you were
Yeah.
definitely like doing crowd work, which is I think important because you can being able to make fun of yourself or be
Yeah.
open like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
we're having fucking difficulties. Like
Yeah.
sorry, like you have
Yeah.
to bear with it.
Yeah, just
Instead of sitting up there like not saying anything.
just being a cheese about it. That's like another one of those Slape genes that has been like, okay, we know how to shoot the shit. Like we can be in an awkward moment and then we're like, all right, just double down on the charisma and like get out of this. And on the inside, I can be like, I'm crumbling right now.
Yeah.
But for some reason, the words and like the mannerisms and whatnot, that's like all there and programmed. So
Yeah.
it's whenever I tell people I'm like, I'm actually pretty shy, and they're like, no, you're not. And I'm like, yeah, trust me, it's just a thing happening inside. I'm still wrestling with
Yeah.
it. But and they're like, okay.
How you talked about psychedelics and how you can learn to just go through things.
Yeah.
That's been my biggest thing too, because I
Yeah.
was like bullied and like super like insecure like most of my life.
Yeah.
Until I've had that awakening and I just realized that I'm in control of myself.
Yeah.
And like even in these situations, I think 4 years from now I'll always be anxious when I have a podcast. But it's the pushing yourself through it because
Yeah.
doing uncomfortable things is what's good for you.
Exactly.
You know, and so putting yourself in that position also makes you stronger, and every time it becomes more and more natural.
Right?
You know, like you were nervous last night, you'll probably be nervous 2 years from now when you have another technical difficulty,
Right.
but you'll have handled it so many times that you
Yeah.
just, oh, it's this shit again.
Right?
You know,
It's so true. It's kind of like that whole the moral background that you talk about puts you into places where your natural human instinct might not be to react a certain way, but you're like, I've learned this to try and lean into the hard thing. And we should always be challenging our boundaries,
Right.
you know? And whether it's like creatively or socially or just, I don't know, even performance wise of like, what's my brain capable of?
yeah,
Like, okay, so I was like kind of good at math. I might as well, you know what? I'm going to try and, I don't know, balance books for some company, see if I can do it, you know, become an accountant. I think it's healthy to always like challenge yourself, but also not to like overdo it and just
Right.
become like shmoo out of it. You're
It's
just
easy
like,
to get overwhelmed.
yeah,
Especially
yeah,
when you try to do 5 new things at once.
right,
You're like, I'm gonna do all these things at once, and then you're like
yeah,
drowning and like, how do I even schedule this? Like I
mm-hmm.
forgot that I should have thought ahead.
Right? Oh, totally, man. I currently work up at Cirrus Aircraft, and
Right.
I'm in. Uh, I don't think I'm technically in product development. I'm in like this weird small group. The department's manufacturing design and development, but I've been an aircraft mechanic now for like 6 or 7 years, something like that. I like fixing planes, watching them fly away and flying on them. Super fun. But this is different, and this is like me. When I got this job opportunity, I was like, yeah, let's try that. I've always wanted to try and be kind of like, like Q from 007, the guy that's like, just pens, a grenade,
Yeah.
like coming up with the craziest stuff. And the way that I heard them describe their experimental department, when I was first moving out here, I was like, this is this is not my comfort zone, but I'm gonna push it. I'm gonna see where I go. Now I'm on this team that's like I've gone from production to experimental to this manufacturing design and development. I've helped like basically workshop and change and evolve like designs to the airplane and stuff through like, hey, this works, this doesn't work, this isn't repeatable. And there's the last project we did felt like such a massive accomplishment, but now I'm at the point where I'm like, I, I ain't got any bones in my body. I'm just like a bag of skin. Like I'm just worked to the edges, and so I'm like, I don't know if this is my thing anymore, you know. But it was a good chapter to be like, now I can confidently work on something. Like if I wanted to start up a company, work on designing something, whether it's like some new irrigation design for like farming equipment or something.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, I know how to find a creative mind and I know what it takes to develop that there's an investment on the front side, like big picture stuff. And so now I never would have thought I'd run a business, and now I'm like, I'd run my own convenience store, like I could run my own maintenance shop or whatever, and I feel like I've evolved to another level. But the one way that I've been doing it and training for it, I'm like, it's probably not for me anymore. So,
True.
but that's just one of those aspects where it's like if I had never pushed myself, I probably wouldn't be going anywhere with it, you know?
Right. You would have never seen behind the curtain, understand how
Yeah.
all the mechanics in the back work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, I think that's the biggest part to anything that you see is you just see this and you're like, oh my gosh, that's so hard or complex. But then you just see the back mechanics and you feel them and live with them, and then you're like, oh, that's actually pretty easy.
Yeah.
You just have to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I went from
definitely.
having a flip phone to having all this electronics. Well,
Yeah.
someone that's always had electronics, this is easy to them. Well, to me, it was hard.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's like everyone has their little aspects in life. And you could look at something and be like, that's too hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
And just stay with a flip phone. Or you could be like, that's too hard for me. I'm going to do it.
Yeah, let's see how I can get to there, you know? Yeah, that's something that's pretty cool. Like that for me musically, that was metal. I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to be like a metal lead guitarist. And that's one where I'm like, I have abandoned that. That's fine, but I'm also like, how else can I evolve? Well, songwriting is a big one for me where I'm like, how can I challenge myself to like break the mold of the structure that I usually follow, and or like creating. I started painting way late in the game. Like I grew up drawing and stuff and taking pictures, and now I just started like not properly, but like if I have art nights with my friends and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna grab the paint now. Like I just started doing that like probably a year and a half ago, and I'm so relieved that I've done it. So it's like I'm a bit of my spirit animal might be a bit of a shark where I'm like, if I stop swimming, I might die. So
Yeah, I feel that. Like, I tell everyone, I can't sit on other people's time.
yeah,
Or I can only sit on other people's time. The reason why I'm sitting down, hanging out, talking is because you guys are here. If you guys weren't, I would be like doing something. Like,
Yep.
if I stop, I'll die like a shark. That's a
Yeah.
cool analogy. I didn't think of it like that. But
Yeah.
I'm definitely that type of person.
yeah. That's like I know that there's moments of reset. Like like I was saying with the current job, I'm like great people that I work with. I've done awesome things, but I'm also like, I think I'm done. next thing I don't think is a job. I'm just like, I've never given myself a window to breathe because I always move on to the next thing. But I'm like, what are the things that I do right now that fill my cup? Music, hanging out with my friends, going outside. It's a huge one. So I'm like, why don't I just focus on those things? If any of them are profitable, okay. Not super worried about it, but like I gotta relax, and because there's like points in my brain that have just gotten so stressed out because it's like fully tuning up an engine and using 100% of rated power, like shit's gonna wear out, you know.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, I gotta kind of recoup, and it's something I've never allowed myself to do. So that's probably my new way to challenge my comfort zone. It's like, how do I sit in quiet, you know, or relative quiet?
Yeah, learn how to relax.
Yeah,
I feel like I need to do that too.
yeah. I don't know, man. Your outdoor adventures are dope.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Deprivation tank would be cool. That might be something.
That would be something nice.
Yeah?
You know what a deprivation tank is?
Is that like with the ice or the salt water?
Yeah, Epsom salt water that you float in the dark.
Yeah.
That might be something.
That'd be
They
super
have
cool.
one down over by the Figures
Really?
building. There's a place that does that, yeah.
That's so cool,
And
dude.
I've wanted to go multiple times, but I just never have. But it's the closest you can get sober people to trip.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're like, why is my mind making all this noise? It's just like, I didn't even know I was thinking about colors. Why can't I stop thinking about purple right now? Dude, it's so true. That's funny. Because there's different ways that we're not used to existing in a certain, or do-overs. We're used to existing in a certain way so that when any of those conditions change and it's unfamiliar, it can be kind of alarming to people that are not used to having to learn to adapt, you know?
Yeah.
So anybody with like psychedelic pass or current usage, anything like that, that's why I'm like, that's how you become adaptive. That's why I'm like, I feel equipped. Like, it's just like all my spirit journeys is like a tie-dye shirt wearing skateboarder in a beat up car eating corn dogs. Like, I learned way more then, you know?
Yeah.
Of just like how to deal. My wife was just talking last night about scuba diving. She used to run a scuba shop.
Okay.
And out in Spokane. And she said the thing she struggled with the most was part of the training to get certified is that you take your mask off. Like you have your regulator in still, but you take your mask off. And it's just the hardest thing for you to keep breathing through your regulator because now you've got water all over your face that wasn't there. So
right, you have to learn how to.
yeah, and so you could be in the water with all this equipment on. It takes a while to even adapt to learn how to use that, right? And then you change one of those conditions, and then your body's like, wait, so like, are we drowning right now, or what's going on? Do I have to hold my breath? No, you can breathe through your mouth, but just not your nose.
Right.
And it's like a complete trip.
Yeah.
Super interesting, but
Yeah, motor functions. That's like people who don't have any ambidextrous or like their left hand is dead. They can't use it for anything.
yep,
I'm somewhat ambidextrous. I can't write as good with my left, with my right, but I still do it all the time just so that I can like keep that part of my brain alive.
Right.
Whereas some people don't even have that. You get so conditioned to what you're conditioned to, and then it changes, and you're like, how do I function? Your brain panics. I could see that with the scuba diving for sure. It's like trying to write with your left hand.
That's interesting that you needed a certification like that to have to go through that experience, you know, just for selling it.
Right?
Or whatnot.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's cool though. That's cool.
It is super cool.
Yeah,
know,
before
you
you
might be
can
in a car
sell.
or
Yeah.
getting submerged in the water, you know, that will help.
Yeah, that would help.
Yeah. Before you can sell scuba equipment, you have to become a Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
Go breathe underwater with just this little tube.
That's right. Dude, that is pretty trippy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. What time are we on right now?
We're about an hour.
About an hour or after an hour?
No, 59 minutes.
Okay, cool.
Sweet.
I have whenever it gets a little bit after an hour,
Mm-hmm.
we'll have to take a little break because for some reason my external hard drive, even though 2 nights ago I videotaped for 2 hours straight, yesterday it stopped at an hour.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna do an hour on that, and then switch the saving file to a different hard drive, and then do another section from there.
Cool. No worries, man.
So
no worries.
it's
Yeah.
trying to learn how to do all this stuff, and then I should have bought a different type of laptop because Macs aren't. I guess they don't have enough storage comparison to other laptops, and you can't add storage. Where other laptops you can open them up and add bigger.
Yeah, I do an
hard drive.
external hard drive for my. I got a MacBook Air, and that's been like what I put all my maintenance manuals and stuff on.
Okay.
Just like pack everything onto it, but it interfaces pretty well. It's not like hard to recall stuff. It's just another option on it.
Okay.
But yeah, I am not super savvy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I learned one trick, and I'm like, that's my lane. I know that about electronics.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's taken me like, I don't know, it was probably 6 months ago or something like that. This camera used to go for like 2.5 hours and it was fine. And then one day it stopped taking that long, and then I go in here and I couldn't figure it out. It took me 6 months to figure out it's one button that you just need to click.
Dude, that's exactly how it goes.
Like,
yep,
fuck.
that's exactly how it goes. It's always familiarity with equipment. Or like, what I've experienced in maintenance is like, if something's really difficult, it's usually because you don't have the right tool for the job. So if you just you're like, I can't even safety wire back in here. It's like, well, you should just, first of all, take the other thing off that's in your way, and then get the right tool for it.
Right.
But it's like, that's kind of the opposite. With electronics, stuff comes already equipped, and then software updates and whatnot. Things just change around so much. I'm like, I went full old man like right away as like technology took off, because I was around for the beginning of like the internet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I can do this. And nowadays, like, people are so savvy with like smartphones and like even like data management on their own phone, and they're like, well, yeah, like you gotta like clear your cache. Look for this. There's like hidden files over here, and I'm like, you're like an IT specialist. And they're like, no, dude, I just like learned this in 6th grade, and I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
I just right now I'm looking at this like I should probably burn this.
Yeah, me too.
Dark magic.
I
gotta
use
get
my
rid of
phone
it.
like this.
Yeah.
I'm not over here. I'm like,
Yep. Oh man.
I'm supposed to have glasses too, so I even look more like an old man. I'm like,
That's cool. Yeah. It starts like that, and then as you get older, you do this one. Because you
no.
lose it. Yeah.
You think it's gonna change? You're like, oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, I'm nearsighted and farsighted,
Yeah.
so it's like a sweet spot I have to find stuff
There you
in
go.
anyways.
Nice.
I lost my glasses on the first fort we built. I put them up in a tree.
Yeah.
For
and then-
real?
Yeah, and then we built the fort. They were still up in the tree. Then we cut all these pines, layered the pines. They were gone. I was like, uh-oh.
Have you ever tried to go back and find them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it snowed, so they're either part of the fort or in the snow somewhere. So
Yeah.
I've just been glassesless
Yeah.
for the last 2 months probably.
Jeez. But your sense of smell is like impeccable.
Yeah, now I
Right?
can
Yeah.
smell my
Now
way
you can
around
hear.
rooms. I use my
Yeah.
nose to navigate.
There you go.
Like, oh, that's a 30-year-old lead paint wall.
That's right. And your hearing too. You probably hear like a fish fart under a waterfall. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely tuned in. Right?
About fish, you were saying that you don't like the fish smell, but you like the way it tastes. I'm like that. I was telling him, because he was like, why do you eat fish? Because every time we have a fire, I bring like a herring fillets.
Yeah.
And I cook them. And I'm not like a big fish fan, but it's so satiating. Like it has all of the, it's got the fat, it's got the everything you need. Like it's just so
Freaking
good.
good.
I love it.
You could live on fish for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely that way. My dad, like, one of the first things I learned how to cook fish dish wise was like a salmon like fillet out on a grill, just like in tin foil, and just mayonnaise on it, some dill weed on it,
Yep.
and then some like onion slices, and then some lemon juice on it, and just 10-12 minutes I think, and then it's done, and it doesn't smell fishy.
Right.
And it tastes phenomenal. And it tastes great. It tastes like salmon.
Yeah.
I love smoked salmon and all that.
Yeah. Have
Halibut's
you
great,
been to
yeah.
Kendall's Smoke Shop up on the North Shore?
Not yet. I drive by it a bunch. I have not
You
gone
need to
there.
go there. That is
All
the
right.
top spot. That smokehouse down
Yeah.
below Deutsche building.
Yeah.
That's really good too, but Kendall's is like old school. Like they've been
Yeah.
around there for 50 years or something like that.
Dude,
So I would go
I'd
up
be
there.
all about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to, when we worked up at the wedding spot up there,
Yeah.
we'd make stops there once in a while.
Frick yeah.
It's
I mean,
so
why
good.
not?
Smoked trout. Oh,
They
I
had
love it.
like jerky trout, like
Oh, the dry turkey legs?
yeah, or like it was like jerky, but it was fish.
No, I think those chicken breasts, smoked chicken breasts. They got a bunch of
I
different
was it?
stuff.
It's a white meat jerky kind of thing.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
It might have been the turkey jerky or the chicken breasts.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Can we do it? Can you do fish like jerky?
I thought
Is this
it was
doable?
fishy. It was fishy.
Yeah.
Was it smoked trout?
Yeah, I think it was. But it was just super. It was like jerky. I guess when you go there, just look for it.
Yeah,
look
give it a
they
shot.
have
Yeah.
15 different options.
Yeah.
I just always get the smoked trout because that's my favorite.
Oh yeah, right?
You know, you
Just
get
do what you
particular.
enjoy.
Yeah.
Do what you enjoy. I always like to try weird stuff too, because I'm like, well, I can at least say I tried it.
Yeah.
And so, and especially if it's a combo, like if it's a plate and it's a combination you've never heard of before, you're like, oh, okay, let's try that. Like it sounds super bizarre, so let's check that out super quick. I might like be disappointed, but I probably won't. Especially if it makes it onto a restaurant menu
True.
and it's super bizarre, like fusion-ish type stuff.
Yeah.
And so I always like doing that.
They have that new Bali restaurant down in that.
Yeah,
Lincoln
that's a
Park.
pretty good one.
And I haven't been there yet, but I heard they got like squid or octopus or something.
Yeah.
I was like, that sounds.
Might as well. It's chewy, but it's good. Like calamari, when it's done right, is like, oh my god. Yeah, it's pretty good. I don't like stuff that's like chewy, where you're like, why am I still working on this? It's like a new sensation of like a protein. But yeah, I mean, deep fried calamari rings, man. Like it's like onion rings, but it's fish rings, and it's like kind of a meat. I don't know. Super bizarre.
Interesting.
Just to try it to be like, well, I've never done that before. I don't know why I did that to my body.
Yeah.
But
Oh, no.
also, there's always a way for anything to be done so well that it's just like absolutely appetizing.
Right.
Like liver and onions, I'm sure is an absolute strikeout, probably 99% of the time. And then there's like this one restaurant where it's like, you go there, you should get the liver and onions. And you're like, but I don't like. And they're like, you should. Just try it.
Yeah.
And then you're like, why was that so good? And then you're also like, I can't even try and cook this at home. It's not going to be anything like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's always the secret combination that's just right, or like the person who just does it just right.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff I like to look for, those diamonds in the rough where people don't usually give it a shot. And I'm like, let's try this.
That's what I was trying to get him to try the sardine dish I make.
Yeah?
Because it's not
Looking back at the videos, I like missed
No.
so much. I'm like, man, I should have tried that. Or he tried to hand me some tea. I'm like, I didn't even see him putting his hand out there. Like, you miss so much
Yeah.
every day that you don't realize, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But looking back on the videos, I like, it's cool to see him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I make by the time it's done, it's like you can't even taste that there's fish in it.
Yeah.
It's like having mushrooms. But
Okay.
it's you cut up some onions and garlic, get that cooking, put in
Yeah.
your sardines, tomatoes, and then crack some eggs on the top and put a lid on it. And then once the eggs are done, you can poke the yolk. And it's
Dude, this sounds good.
If
So
I was going to try it, I
What?
should have tried it then because it looked really good.
yeah.
What? That sounds so good.
Yeah. We'll make it the next time we're up. I'll just make sure to bring this stuff for it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. I love
The
trying
best
stuff.
thing we've ever cooked out on one of those bushcraft adventures.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a GoPro at this time yet. We made ribs on the fire.
Ooh,
And so
okay.
we had a fire for a couple hours, and
Mm-hmm.
then it was just a huge amount of coals. I got it all ready in the foil and I just buried it in the coals.
Yeah.
And then had a fire on top of it, and then just let it sit for like, hour and a half? Like they sat in there for a decent amount. They were the best ribs I've ever had in my life.
That's amazing. Did you pork or beef or what?
Pork ribs.
Yeah, that's awesome,
Yeah.
dude. I mean, there's a guy that I used to be buddies with back in Spokane, and he came from like I think Kansas City area, and he like opened my eyes to like St. Louis style ribs and whatnot. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And we'd like go skate. He's like, okay, I'm gonna start these. Put them in his oven, get it set up. And he's like, all right, let's leave with the oven on, like in his apartment in the complex. And we'd go skate for like a chunk of the day, come back, and then we're like, and now we're just about to eat the tastiest ribs of our lives.
Yep. He probably put it on like 170.
Yeah,
like it was
super low.
super low.
Super
and you
low.
just let it sit there all
Right?
day. The longer meat is cooked, the better it tastes. All foods,
Yeah.
chili. You have a
Low and slow's
2-day
pretty dope.
chili compared to a 60-minute chili.
Yeah.
Fuck out of here! I want that 2-day chili that's been
Right?
cooking and changing flavors.
So true.
So
I need a crock pot.
You don't
really
have a
bad, like a Dutch oven. Well, no, not a crock pot. We do have a crock pot. I need a Dutch oven. That's what I
Okay,
need.
yeah.
That's what I need. Because that was like one of the only things from Boy Scouts growing up that I'm like, that will stay with me for forever. It was like the best recipes ever, like chicken and cranberry and stuff like that, just slow. And now I'm like, I haven't cooked in a Dutch oven in forever. Like, I remember it, and I'm also like, it's really hard to fuck it up. You just leave it there. Like, the longer it's there, like you're saying, the better it is. And then you kind of like fine tune how you want the skin or whatever.
Right.
But I mean, it's going to fall off anyways when you pull it out.
Yeah.
It's just so good.
Yeah.
God, I love food.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could tell.
Yeah.
I freaking love food.
I love food too, but it doesn't show.
Yep.
I'm just blessed, I guess.
Yeah.
Besides, when I got off carnivore, I gained 50 pounds in like 4 weeks.
Dang.
Because my body was so used to ketosis, and then all of a sudden it was like pizza.
Yeah.
I gained like 4 pounds every time I ate. I was like, what happened?
We don't know what to do with this stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Oh my gosh.
I just have to be a little bit careful. But like I said, if it's not in the house, I won't eat it.
Right.
So instead of buying a box of Nutty Bars, I buy dark chocolate almonds.
There you go.
I might eat them all still.
Oh, yeah.
But it's dark chocolate almonds compared
Right.
to Nutty Bars.
You're your own gatekeeper instead of just like being wildly hungry. You're like, I don't know, that looks pretty good, and you just like, you can't shop when you're just hungry.
Yeah,
Or
not
stoned,
hungry or
probably.
stoned.
Yeah.
Or drunk. Drunk,
Right.
you're buying like 4 things of Oreos.
Yep. Dude, that would be like the holy trinity of just over shopping. Is hungry, drunk, and stoned.
Yeah, all
You're
of
like,
them at
okay,
once.
so I bought like 5 rotisserie chickens, and I'm like, holy cow.
You didn't even eat all of one of them.
Oh,
You
yeah.
just thought you were hungry enough
Right?
for all of them. And
You
then-
just like feel safe that it's there, and you're like, I'll just build a nest around it.
you wake up, cut them in like 4 different. You didn't have a blanket.
Right?
So
But
you
you
had
had
to-
a bag of Ruffles. You're like, this is a nice little pillow.
Yeah, chips was the pillow. Yeah, there's been days where you wake up in precarious situations.
Yep. Oh, yeah. No, I've been there.
There's this at schools. They have a dumpster, recycling, and then a magazine dumpster where they only put magazines in it.
Oh, okay.
And so there would be a couple nights where I'd go sneak over to the school, hide in that dumpster,
Yeah.
smoke a couple pinchies and just sleep. And one morning I woke up to beep, beep.
Oh, no.
I peeked through the crack. There's a recycling truck. I was like coming to pick me up. I had to like jump out of there.
But you got out?
I got out,
Okay,
but
sweet.
that was like
That accidental ride would not be cool, because that's like just steel frames
I
and
would have
stuff,
got
right?
crushed probably
Yeah.
too.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, well, at least you'd probably be knocked out by like a door or something
Yeah,
first on the way
flipped
down.
upside down.
Yeah, you'll be out while you get all the toothpaste squeezed out of you.
Yeah.
And just like,
Yeah,
jeez.
but that was one of
It's
the
gnarly.
That was because I'm waking up with rotisserie chickens or whatever.
Yeah.
But that was the time like I didn't even get fucked up that night. I just
Right.
woke up and there was a fucking recycling
Yeah.
truck. I was like, I ain't ever doing that again.
Dude, I remember back, again, dating myself like way back, probably like 2010 or something, where I had a moment where I was like, this is too high. And we were just snacking on resourcefulness of whatever's left over in the pantries.
Yeah.
But we're like, oh, we should try the chicken ramen seasoning on like peanut butter and like
Oh yeah, just
like
making random
made a
stone
mystery
shit.
bite, ate it, and it was like instantly while it was in my mouth, there was 0 reward, and I just looked at my friend. It was like the most sober moment, and I was like, oh, we gotta not do this anymore. Like it was just definitely ran into a bad flavor situation. Yeah, that was. I remember that's when I knew I was like, I'm kind of getting out of control with this.
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
So,
There's those nights where you make cereal, ice cream, cookie, and then you're like, I should put pickles in here. And
yeah, but sometimes those are like amazing experiences, and you're like, nobody else is gonna be doing this other than our type of people.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like, yeah, nobody's gonna know how great it is to have a pickle in your like mint chocolate chip ice cream.
Yeah,
Like,
something
it
random.
makes no sense at all.
Yeah. Hot sauce on fucking
Right?
peanut butter sandwiches.
Hot sauce is a safe thing to experiment with.
That's for sure, yeah.
Yep. What's your like go-to like basic table sauce of like hot sauces?
Louisiana Crystal.
Never even heard of this.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah.
It's like
yeah.
a Frank's Red Hot or something like that,
Okay.
but it's vinegar based. It's not like thick. Like
Gotcha.
Red Hot and all that stuff's like thick pasty.
Gotcha.
This is like vinegar.
Yeah.
It's red. You just,
Yep.
oh, it's so good.
Dude, I like
I like it.
Cholula.
Cholula's my
Cholula's
second.
my damn
Yeah.
like favorite. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like eggs, breakfast, all of that. That's just, it's meant to be.
That's
It's
also
definitely
more
meant
of
to
a
be.
vinegar based than
Mhm.
like a paste based
Yeah.
hot sauce.
Yeah, that's because there's always you have like your go-to sauce, like a sauce holster on a. It's not a bad idea. You're just like, I'm gonna bring this. We're gonna try. We're just gonna zest up what I'm doing, and just always have your trusty, old, reliable, whatever that sauce is. So that would be yours.
Yeah, I would definitely like a coin purse.
Yeah.
It'd be like kind of like that, but you just keep your sauce in it. I'd have Louisiana Crystal hanging out of it for
It's
sure.
one of those clipper lighter things that you can't get rid
Yeah, yeah, the retractables. Yes, that'd be so cool.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's the move. What about you? What's your sauce?
Crybaby.
Crybaby Craig's. Yeah, that one's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I stumbled upon that one, I think just before I moved out here, but it seems pretty prevalent here in the Midwest.
Yes.
And I was like, this stuff's dope. Yeah, Crybaby Craig's on your eggs is like, that'll work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's the green Cholula too, but it's not. It's
I haven't tried it.
it's the Verde,
Yeah, yep.
and that one's really good too. I like Verde is my favorite. Like enchiladas, I want green sauce enchiladas. I think red sauce is overhyped.
Oh, yeah,
I feel like
for sure.
there's too much like mild sauce that's just red. Like I don't like that. I
Yeah.
want it to either be a small amount of really spicy red, or if you're gonna soak it in sauce, it's got to be Verde.
Yeah, Verde's good. That's usually like, oh man, I'm trying to think of what it was called. All the dishes where I grew up was like Little Mexico.
Okay.
So like white people were the minority. They were like mostly. I mean, if you just stuck with agriculture, it's like the white people own the farms, but everybody else is an import, first generation, or on a work visa or something like that. So there's like a lot of good taco trucks, and I didn't know what I was missing till I left it. Even just going up to Spokane, like no taco trucks. I was like, this is messed up. I didn't. That was like what I relied on. If I had a heavy night of like partying and I needed to recover the next day, a breakfast burrito from a taco truck would breathe life back into me. It was
Yeah.
like just perfect.
It's got the carbs, it's got the
Yep.
fat, and then it's also got a little bit of that spice to get the pores and the
Yeah.
stuff running. Yeah.
The Verde is like that's my jam though. If you're getting any sauces out of the truck, you're getting that and you're like pouring it on each bite and
Yeah.
like that and tortas and whatnot, or like it's like a Mexican burger type of
Yeah.
deal. Just whatever meat. I usually get like cabeza is like the jaw meat
Yeah.
from the cow. So good, so freaking good.
I don't know if you've tried the Del Norte.
Yeah.
They're decent. I'm sure
Yeah,
they
they do
don't
pretty well.
compare to that.
No, they do
but
well. They
out
definitely
of all
do
the
well.
taco places in Duluth that
They're
I've
probably
tried.
they're probably the most accurate. Well, the other one is Mexico Lindo is like a pretty solid Mexican restaurant where you
Solid
get like
and
a
your
heated
money's
plate
worth.
with your refried beans
Yep.
and whatnot, like traditional Mexican
Hot
restaurant.
fajitas right on the plate. Yeah.
That's a proper one.
They're huge. Those burritos are pretty
Yeah.
big.
Yeah,
too.
me and him, we
Yes.
ate for like under $20, 2 giant burritos. Like you go to
You can do
Chipotle and get a giant burrito for $14. Go to Mexico Lindo and get that.
If you get the Lindo special, it's just I swear it's just like a plate of just stuff.
Yeah.
Where they're like, I don't know, there's like peppers and mushrooms, just a pile of just freaking deliciousness that's like, yeah, and then you get some tortillas and you have leftovers and you're like, that's like 2-3 more meals.
Damn.
Yeah, it's insane.
Just get it for like 3 people and share it, or 2 people.
Yeah, if you want, yeah, for sure. And it's still like standard price, probably, I'm sure it's something like $10-$12 or something
Right.
where you're like, and then I'm good for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I love Mexico.
There's not many
Lindo.
places that are bang for their buck restaurants like that anymore.
Right?
There used to be a spot down in the DeWitt Schweitz building called the Taste of Saigon,
Yeah.
and now it's
My
some
homie
other
Carter,
thing.
his family, that was them.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carter Wynn, and I forget Carter's dad, but yeah, I think his dad ran that restaurant.
Yeah, and so that was
That was a
bang
good
for your
spot.
buck. You
Yeah.
could go there and eat for $12, have fried rice, white rice, your food of chicken, vegetables,
Yeah.
and wontons for $12. It's like,
That's where it's at, for
Yeah.
sure. China Star is pretty dope. Have you been there yet? It's up here in Hermantown, like, you know where...
is that red building?
Which one?
Is it red with like lions in the front of it? Golden
I think so,
lions?
yeah, I think so.
I know what you're
Yeah,
talking about.
yep. Yeah, it's like it's right next to Outback.
Outback, U-Haul, Menards, all that's right there.
Yeah, that's where we go there. We call it China Star Help You, because it used to be like, we call them and they'd say, China Star Help You. And you place your order. So that's what we call it. But like, that's our, so we're at work, like when we're like run down, we're getting like run through, because I mostly work with engineers. but I'm their mechanic, like kind of service animal.
Okay.
Where I'm like, I'll show you how to exist around like technicians and mechanics and stuff. And I'm their honorary guy and kind of their guinea pig to try stuff out when they write instructions or make
Cool.
tools. But yeah, when the grind is heavy and we're just like getting wrung out, we just turn to each other and we're like, do you need help today? I'm like, yeah, I could use some help. So China Star help you is like, that's how we know we're going to China Star for lunch.
Okay.
And it's like the most relaxing place to be. Lunch
Do they
specials.
still have the glass ceilings? Is that the place with the glass ceilings?
No, I don't think it has a
Okay.
glass. Well, maybe it does in that one. There's like this kind of party area or like private party area.
Okay.
I never go in there. We just always go straight in. But like we're to the point where they're like, see us walking in, they're like, you guys don't need menus. You just sit wherever you want. So it feels very intimate and
That's
like
nice.
like a tight community where there's people that come down just to like help out. Like retired guy that just comes and he's like, yeah, I'm just setting up the napkins or whatever. But everybody knows everyone.
True.
It's just nice, quiet, relaxing, and it's like, yeah, that's where you go to just decompress. And
Okay. I might
You
have
could
to
get
give them a swirl then.
dude, sweet sour chicken, pork fried rice for like, I think it's like $7 or $8, and it's a pile of food.
Right.
Yeah,
It's always a
good.
pile at all
Yep.
those places.
Yeah, we go there and we play cards and do that, and then we're like, let's maybe go back to work, because we're just like, it's just a grind sometimes.
That
But
sounds like a good gig.
yeah, dude, China Star's dope. Definitely check that one out. So
Hell yeah. Should we take an interval?
yeah,
Should we pause
let's do
this and
that. I was
save
gonna
this?
say I gotta take a leak if
Yeah.
that's all right.
Of course. No, you have to. That's the pissing corner. You have to.
I'm just gonna piss inside of me.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna piss up. That's all.
I went on a date with this girl a while ago.
Yeah.
And I was
I'm
like,
already intrigued.
I was like, I need
a
to
segue.
I was like, I need to take a piss, because we're at the bar.
Mm-hmm.
And then she goes, oh, you can just pee in my mouth. And I was like,
You're like, oh, take me home or lose me forever. Is this like one of those situations? Oh my gosh.
here,
That's
you
funny.
should stop this too. Stop that. Took the red.
Be an idiot. Get a spoon pipe
Yeah.
or a oney or something.
Yeah, the first
Yeah.
the first time I ever got to like actually, I bought a dub here or there or whatever.
Yeah.
The first time I got I got a half ounce and a bubbler.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so excited. I went home, in my bedroom, smoked that shit. Parents came up, took that shit.
I thought you were gonna be like, so there was a bathroom nearby. Tried to flush it, clogged the toilet. There was like weed water everywhere.
No, my dad. I think he smoked it. And I told him, I said, I want my bubbler back. And he's like, it's gone. I was like,
Yeah, it's just magically gone.
oh, yeah, okay. And then for any of the pothead kids out here that happen to see this, what you do is you have two different spots of your weed. You have your majority that you hide well. Then you have what you're going to try to smoke in your house.
Yep.
That's a smaller amount. Because I did that once, and then my mom came up. What the fuck? I had the bowl and like weed on the table, and she's like, "Is that all?" And I was like, "No." And I went like that, and I grabbed what I had, like 2 nugs in a bag.
Yeah.
So she thought she got it all,
Yep.
but I still had more.
Smart guy, dude. You're like a military strategist.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
This
like
is how we're gonna sneak it behind enemy lines.
they think they got everybody, but we really had this other like unit, and they're flanking them.
Yo.
It's like it's a diversion.
I had my MREs in
Yeah.
the closet. We were
Oh, did
ready.
you have MREs?
Yeah. Well, my great grandma was preparing.
Yeah.
So when
Hell
my
yeah.
parents bought that house, there was already a bunch of we cleaned out the house.
Yeah.
We kept the things that we wanted from it, and that was a whole basement filled with like weird barrels and
Yeah.
MREs and just a bunch of weird crazy
Dude.
stuff. In middle school I watched a scary movie. Have you ever watched Quarantined?
I don't think I have.
Okay.
I don't think I know what it is for sure, but
Okay,
I don't. I actually don't think I've seen that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's. I never watched the first one, but I watched the second one and it scarred me.
Yeah.
I didn't go to school for like 3 months. I didn't sleep. Like I got
Oh
2
no,
hours
you're
of
like
sleep a night.
agoraphobic
And
at
I,
that
like,
point.
Like slept with a machete and stuff. Like my parents
Jeez.
couldn't get me away from like my weapon. I was always scared that my family was gonna turn into zombies in the night.
Fuck.
And then I became a prepper and started studying bushcraft and all this type of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why it leads back now, because eventually I fell out of that. I chose to do drugs instead of prepare for the apocalypse.
That's awesome.
But now I found a good.
I was gonna
like
prepare for the
bushcraft.
apocalypse, but then I got high.
Yeah.
This is fucking great. Dude, so that's how you got into bushcraft.
That's how I
Okay.
got into bushcraft. We went on a lot of hikes. My dad is very wilderness educated.
Yeah.
But we never actually built forts or anything crazy. We did build a fort in our yard, but
Dude.
actually what we've done. That's all the times we've hung out in the woods. Having a fire is what I'm known for. Having a fire and hammocking, that is what I do when I hang out with people.
Yeah.
I get them out of their houses. We go have a fire and hammock and smoke
That's
a blunt.
awesome.
And we just finally now started making forts.
Yeah.
We've hung out for 8 years in the woods, never built a fort.
Hey, you got shelter. Yeah.
Yeah, now we got.
Dude, this is the most affordable way to get into the housing market.
Yeah.
Just build your own house.
Yeah.
Right there. That's there's something that's that hits me deep down when I get to build a dope ass fort. That's what I live for when I watch survival shows and stuff. I actually a friend of mine from middle school, we were in track together. He was just on Outlast on Netflix.
Oh, true.
Yeah, and he's a construction worker and stuff. But I'm it's so dope to see people put together forts. You're like, that's sick. Oh man, they even used clay to make a fireplace, and oh, that's so
Yeah.
sick. And the stuff they're doing in 2 days or
Yep.
you get time to build off of it. But that's something I'd be so addicted to. I just want to build my own house so bad.
Heck yeah. Have you ever worked any construction jobs?
Yeah, yeah,
Framing a house and stuff like that?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like doing that. I framed for a year and a half. Built we did everything from the bottom to the top, roof, side, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I really liked it. My hands were so bad from the eczema. My car broke, and we were building a house 2 hours out of town, so I had to
Damn.
quit.
Yeah.
But I would have liked still working in that field because you just feel so accomplished afterwards.
Yeah.
But also now I feel like I'm versatile enough that I could do a lot of those things when I want to build my own house one day.
Right?
But I want to have secret tunnels and cool rooms for my kid to
Yeah.
a bedroom that goes to a closet to a slide that goes outside.
Right?
Or something cool like that. You're not gonna buy a house with that. You have to
No.
build your own house if you want a secret room.
Exactly.
And a cool man cave, all that shit. I want the basement from Tremors. I want just 100 guns on the wall.
I have to watch Tremors. I've never properly watched Tremors. I've only flipped it on while it's already playing on Sci-Fi Channel and only gotten tastes of it. And it was one of my sister's favorite sci-fi movies growing
Yeah,
up.
the first one is really good. They
Yeah.
become CGI and kind of weird throughout the other ones.
Yeah.
But the first one is really well.
Right?
I like it a lot. It's it's definitely a classic movie
Yeah,
to me.
it would probably be a sci-fi cult classic at this point,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, I am so down with sci-fi movies and horror movies that are older. To me, are better because either it's focused on the plot because CGI wasn't a thing back then,
Right.
or the makeup you get to admire what it was. It might not put you to the same place of what current
Special effects are so much
do.
cooler.
Yeah, but it's
Powerful,
yeah.
Yeah, it's really
super
art
rad.
compared to
Yeah.
I'm sure those people that do the computers feel accomplished too.
Yeah.
Like an artist would, but that actual art, hands-on, physical is just so much more
Yeah.
appreciative from
For
a
sure.
human aspect. That's why AI will never be as good at art as
Right.
people because
The Tim Burton movie.
Well, and people
want
get
hands-on,
yeah.
Tim Burton shit.
People get connected with props and stuff too.
Right.
Whether it's what is that wire animation or stop animation and whatnot. Even that, the small sets, people have invested time in that, and anybody on that film is this was so special. They have something to focus on,
Right.
and it's not a file. So it's or super cool Jaws movies. I'm sure they're this Jaws head. We still have this. It's in our garage. It's this. But it's something that they have from when they made the film that was super
Right.
cool.
Yeah.
And that people who've seen the film now want super bad. Nobody's oh, dude, they're auctioning off the CGI for the last Godzilla movie.
Yeah.
You're what do you mean? No, but you watch it, or what are you gonna do with that?
Yeah, there's no.
It's
there's
not
no,
the same thing.
merch
Yeah.
or there's no value in a lot of modern
Yeah.
media when it comes to that type of stuff.
For sure. No,
I would put the megalodon in my pool if I had one.
Oh.
That'd
that'd be so sick.
Just the
Right?
mouth.
Yeah.
Like
it's
that's
coming
the inside.
out of
Yeah.
concrete or something.
Yeah, that's your edge of your jacuzzi. Just
Yeah.
a giant. Dang, that's a sick idea, dude.
Right? Yeah,
Oh,
there's
man.
in Walla Walla where I lived before Spokane is the hometown of Adam West. So Mayor Adam West from Family Guy, but he was the OG Batman. So there's
Okay.
like a bunch of like back in the day 60s Batman paraphernalia just peppered throughout town. Like the original Batmobile boat. It's like just chilling in somebody's side yard and stuff like that.
Dang.
Super cool.
That's cool.
It's very rad.
I just showed
stuff
him.
like that.
Remember the shark repellent and all that?
Yeah.
All the cans from one of the first
Yeah?
Batmans where he's like on a helicopter and there's a shark. He's like, Robin, give me the shark repellent. And he's got like narwhal, or what were the other ones? Whale repellent.
Yeah, they put detail into it. It was,
That's so
stingray
cool.
or, like,
Yeah, stingray, manta ray.
Manta ray.
It was funny.
Yeah.
I was just like, they don't put in those. I mean, they do sometimes, but not a lot of people put in like their unique touch to things. And
Yeah.
It's like, what's the best way to make this formal for everyone?
Right?
Like,
Dude, movies are fun, or like just creative stuff like that. Super fun. My friend and I used to. Well, my friend's friend, who I then became, I guess, acquaintances with, would make movies, and we'd do like home movies,
Okay.
but they'd be like Rambo movies and stuff, and we'd like go out to the creek, like outside by his house, and I always wound up being like the squib guy. I was the guy that got shot, and that was my first experience in like film stuff. They're like, yeah, we're gonna put this tube up here. You're gonna get shot. Blood's gonna squirt out of you. I'm like, this is the fucking coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
Super fun.
Yeah.
I just love stuff like that. My wife's grandpa used to make films and stuff for fun too.
Okay.
But not for anybody, just like for his own enjoyment, you know? I'm like, that's so cool. But then that's the stuff that you discover in the closet, and you're like, we got grandpa's like bank robbery movie on VHS. Let's throw this in.
Yeah.
So
you
cool.
laugh when it's worth it, you know?
Yeah.
Everyone get approval, you know?
Right?
If you laugh, that's all it
yeah,
matters.
if you get your enjoyment out of something, you don't need approval for sure.
Yeah. And there's the sentimental value too. If it's somebody that you know or whatever, you're
Yeah.
just like, that's freaking cool. Self-expression.
That's
You
one of
get
the big reasons why I'm doing this podcast is when I'm 80 years old, I'm going to cry to every one of these episodes and be like, oh, so young. It's just going to be awesome. Like, this is memories.
Yeah.
I already, like I told you when you first got here, I have short-term memory gone. Like,
Yeah.
it's not there. So when I'm old, I won't remember any of these things. So being able to watch all these old videos will just be so awesome.
Right?
Or my grandkids want to know more about me.
Yeah.
Well, great grandpa's got a podcast in the old files of YouTube because now they
Right.
have some Neuralink and they have to like dust off a computer.
Yeah. It's so true. Dude, there's tons of those home movies that are like from a camcorder,
Yeah.
and you needed an adapter for that tape to put into a cassette and then
Yeah.
put that into a VHS.
Wow.
And it's like, that's half the adventure.
Yeah.
I think you get very stoked on it. Like I get fired up when I get to hear like my mom's old recordings and stuff like that,
True.
because it's like that meant a lot. Or my grandpa, like when he passed, half of the service was or prepping for the memorial was like tracking down all these like old tracks, and you just find out like finding new recordings that I haven't heard for a while. I mean, maybe my mom, I think she probably stumbled upon some new stuff too, because he played so much. But he used to play a radio show every Sunday night in Walla Walla, which was 45 minutes away from where they grew up in hometown, but Walla Walla just happens to be nearby and familiar.
Right.
But it's like to get to hear those radio shows, then it's like time travel. You just
Yeah.
get a bond, listen to it. And now we have a CD of like a bunch of his stuff. It's super cool.
Cool. Just burn them all on
Yeah.
CD.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Super
I think
rad.
that's super cool. That's one reason why I like making music and stuff like that is Idea. I don't know if you know who Idea is at all. He's a
The rapper?
Minnesota rapper.
Yeah.
That passed away, but he has a line. Forget exactly how it goes, but the moral of it is, you can do all these things, but music will be the only way to live forever.
Yeah,
And it could be more than music. It could be
for sure.
Einstein or like Socrates, someone that wrote really philosophical things.
Yeah.
But like, otherwise you'll just be forgotten if you don't
Yep.
do something.
It's a legacy.
So it's like
It's an opportunity for a legacy. It's a different medium of a legacy, for
Right.
sure. Yeah. No, those are super important to have, I think. I mean, I So, like my favorite things in life, I've found are primarily just legacies of my family mostly on the Slape side, but also very much on my dad's side too. Of just like, oh, my dad, this was like my dad's jacket from when he was a brush firefighter or whatever. And it's like, there's things, tangible things, but it's like, man, my favorite things now are like wood finishes and like brown and orange colors and like things that people don't think of as like, I mean, they're now making a comeback probably for sure. The kind of Midwest woodsy vintage it's upon us, but everywhere I grew up, they're like, "Why do you like that?" I'm like, "Cause Grandpa liked it, cause my uncle liked it."
Yeah.
Yeah, I like my wallet. I've got is a International Harvester wallet because my uncle loved international pickups, and he
What's that?
international. It's like John Deere or whatever, but they also made vehicles too and stuff.
True.
So like the old Chevy or Ford pickups with like the bubble hood, kind of like Tow Mater from Cars. You know, it's international pickups were very much like that. At least their first go around, and then they did a lot of ag stuff that was like beyond dualies and like big flatbed trucks and stuff.
Okay.
But there's like a following for that, and my uncle Weldon had a knack for just finding these like old trucks that are just like outgrowing in a field, you know, grass growing through them and stuff, and he'd like go out, pop off an emblem, and sell it online for like $500 just for a badge and stuff.
Right.
Like but that was his thing, and now, pardon, international is not like super big now. Maybe it is in certain agriculture communities and stuff. But I'm like, but that was his jam, so that's my jam.
True.
So I've got like this kind of like almost NASCAR style jacket that's just International Harvester. It's like written down each sleeve, and it's bright red, and it's you're like, what the hell is that?
That sounds
That's like
sick.
right?
Retro.
Exactly. But you're just like, well, it smells like my uncle. I'm probably even getting like clogged arteries just wearing this thing because the guy like freaking loved butter.
I
know?
like butter too.
Yeah.
My daughter will eat butter just by itself.
Yes.
And some salt. I get rolled butter.
Yeah?
Instead of like the squares butter, because rolled butter just so much better. It tastes so much better.
Really?
Too. Yeah.
What's like the process of making
I
it?
get the Amish rolled butter. So it's actually churned and then rolled and then put into the parchment paper. And you get a big thing of it like that.
Where do you get it?
Grocery store's got them. You just got to look for it in the butter section.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, that's what I'm gonna do. Because my wife
Tastes so good.
loves butter. She loves potatoes, and that's basically where it ends. I would say. No, she's got a developed palate. But at the end of the day, if I made her a nice baked potato, I could get away with murder. She'd just be like, "Oh my god, a potato, yes!" Like that's
Potatoes are one of my favorite food too. So
yes.
they're so versatile. You can have like 400 different varieties of potatoes.
Oh, for sure.
So it's like
Yukon Golds were my shit growing up.
Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty good having those like sliced up, kind of like baby reds. Yukon Golds are freaking great. Have that in a steak, just like amazing. Yeah. Slow me right down, put me to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever cooked with ghee before?
No.
So ghee is like, I don't know if it's Indian or what, but it's not Western. Mm-hmm. It's a different type of way to process butter.
Okay.
But it's super, super good. It's pretty expensive. So you have to just like look up recipes where you would use it.
Yeah.
But it's like using that in your mac and cheese instead of regular butter.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's so good.
All right,
people don't think butter has a taste a lot of times. They just like add it to food.
Dude, it does.
Oh, it does. And the
whether it's salted or not,
it is,
yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
How you spell ghee? Do you know?
Ghee.
Okay. Yeah, I'll talk with my wife about it because I'm like, have you heard about this? Or just like flat out, we got to get the Amish stuff and like.
That you should try for sure. The ghee's a little bit more fancy, but that Amish Farms, that's what
she fancy when she's like she's the one that like watches all the Food Network stuff, and then I'm just like walking into the kitchen. I'm like, what's that? And she's like, I'm starting a roux, and I'm like, what does that even mean? Like it's just like, oh, it's like a base. You turn it into an Alfredo sauce, and I'm like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, totally. I'm like, I don't know. You just made a thing that smells good, and it's right there.
Yeah.
Like I don't
As
know all
long
the
as
terms.
It's not witchcraft.
She knows how to say. She knows what's a reduction, or like deconstructed. I'm like, okay. And she's like, I don't like cooking, and I'm like, why are you so good at it? Why is everything delicious? But she's got like this inherited drive to like provide that comes from her family. That's like her inherited thing of like this is just what you do. And so she's like, well, I want to provide for you, but she's like, I just don't want to cook. And I'm like, let me cook. I'll do it. I just never usually around to cook a whole meal as of late. I just stay busy, burn the candle at both ends. When I'm done with work, I'm like, I better play music or hang out with, because I'm kind of on borrowed time, it seems like. What's
a roux.
There you go.
In cooking, actually refers to roux, which is a mixture of equal parts fat, like butter or oil, and flour cooked together to create a thickening agent for sauces, soups, and stews.
There you go.
Man, I need to know how to do that because I'd be cooking a lot.
Bro, you probably made a roux.
I probably do it on
times.
accident every day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a decent cook, but I was talking to my dad about this. It's like I only really know how to make like 30 things really good.
So
that sounds like a lot.
Dude, that's massive. Like a successful household for home cooked meals is something like if you have like 5 meals that on rotation between everybody there. Does what?
Certain parts of it,
Yeah, you don't even have to. But yeah, if you just want to be creative and keep going, go for it. If you understand the fundamentals of like, well, I know a protein is balanced well with like a vegetable or something fibrous, and you can just kind of be like, well, I usually do it with steak, but I'm going to do it with like a pork loin now.
Right.
Like you just kind of pivot a little bit.
Yeah.
And
Once you learn the base, everything's pretty much the same
Yeah.
with cooking until you get into baking. Baking's insane.
Dude, my second cousin, he's a international pilot for Delta, and he flies to Amsterdam as his route out of MSP, and he will bring stuff back from Amsterdam. He sent me a wheel of Gouda cheese from Amsterdam, and it was I want to say he asked me like, okay, you want to try this, that, or the other, like while I was in Amsterdam, and I was like, that one. So he sent me some pesto Gouda, and the thing was just green, super green, like bright green on the inside, and then the outside's kind of got that yellow casing and stuff. And we're like, we're gonna do something with this. We didn't touch it for forever, but we had it in the freezer, and we're like, we can let this thaw out. Well, my wife and I typically will go back to Washington for the holidays, and then I come back and she's like, just one more week with my family, and I'm like, okay, and then I'm just an absolute degenerate for a week, where I'm just like, okay, back to bachelor mode, peanut butter and jellies for a whole week, or whatever, just. I'm gonna go out and skate, and I stayed out till like 11:30 at night on a work night, and now I'm just ruined. But like, it's just stuff like that. So I got back and I was like, we aren't doing anything with this. I'm gonna cook this right now. And I was like, I'm gonna make like Alfredo. And so I was like, I don't even know how to do that. I know how to get Alfredo sauce out of a dry pack and like mix it in water. So I just looked it up, and I was like, okay, I need this, that, and the other. Flour, didn't have, but we had pancake mix. And I'm like, that's gotta be close. And so I like got pancake batter mix. And then I was like, we don't have this, but we have this. And then everything just turned into a one-off. I didn't even have fucking pasta. And I was like, we have rice. That's a great, okay, let's do that. So it's just like, so I made this roux, right? That just turned into this weird green soup, and then I did the rice in there. So we coined, me and the turd in my pocket, coined the phrase Gouda Goop rice soup. This is what I was like, that's what I made. And then I tried it, and I was like, this is delicious. This is basically Alfredo. But everything was just one pivot off of like, well, I don't have that, but I have this. I don't have this, but
That's crazy. It came out good because it sounded.
Oh, it's super bizarre.
Like some prison sludge.
Oh yeah, it was weird. And I sent like live updates to my wife. Took a picture, and she's like, "What are you doing? You're ruining everything." And then I was like, "No regrets, man."
How many brewskis were involved that day?
Dude, I honestly at that point maybe one.
Oh.
I was in a determined creative mindset.
True. I fuck around with food like that all the time. Army can tell you a good story.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Yeah, he was mixing ramen. That one, right?
Yeah.
He was
Put
fucked
all the
up.
seasonings in my cabinet, and I ended up blacking out because there was so many smells. It was
That's why you blacked out. It was because of the smells.
exactly.
Yeah.
Totally.
And I took or anything like that.
There you go. That's hilarious. Let's see. I'm gonna find. Maybe it was. I don't think it was 2024. Maybe it was. I'm gonna find a picture of this Gouda Goop rice soup because I'm like, there's a chapter of my life where I was like, I'm never gonna make this ever again. It was very good. It was fantastic. Oh, so it would have been 2022
Going back
January.
into the archetype or the
Oh yeah,
whatever.
dude, freaking rad. Absolutely rad. That's got to be it. Where are you? Because that was like,
How long are we on this one now for the video?
25.
Cool.
yeah. Hell
This
yeah.
chair sounds like.
No, it's all good. It's natural.
Yeah.
It's just natural.
Where'd you get those chairs from?
From someone. The
Like
bottom.
comfortable.
Yeah. I just
That
got
chair
it.
out there, you should have everybody sit in that chair at least once.
Yeah, Ron, before you leave, you have
Cures
to
your
sit in
back
the
pain.
chair.
I don't know. That chair is like the most comfortable.
It
chair
cures
I've
your
ever had.
back pain?
Yeah, for me. And I sit in it.
Holy shit. Dang, this beer looks just like the color.
Isn't that rad?
I forgot to turn this on.
There you go. We be sifting.
Yep. That's what I'm saying. It's informal and there's never one topic.
I'm into it, man. I'm definitely into it. This is definitely a very, very cool experience. Can't find it. One day I'll find it. I'll just randomly, you'll just get a text message at 5:40 in the morning. And you're like, what the fuck is that? I'll be like, there you go, dude. Gouda Goop rice soup. Yeah.
Just on a mission to find it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's always like you just spring up in the middle of the night and you're like, oh yeah, his shoe size was a 7.5. That's why he was weird. I remember now. And then you're like, wait, who was I telling this story to? You just have no idea.
Yeah.
Yep. Dude, I do that. Just like popcorn memory. Just comes up out of nowhere.
Yeah, that shit sucks.
Something you've been remembering for been
Right?
trying to remember.
Dude,
Did that yesterday.
I feel that.
Trying to bring up topics to like talk about, and you just don't remember.
Oh yeah. I'm bad at trying to be like formal. So tell me about where your band's influence came from.
Brother, I'll tell you. You know, but you got to get good at these stock dialogue things. You don't have to. That's actually way more natural if you don't.
Yeah.
You know,
I
this is so conversational. It's so enjoyable.
Yeah, I like being myself. I like being open, honest.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be like pretend or something like that.
Yeah.
And self-monetization is something that I'm super pissed about. I made this podcast because freedom of speech is
Yeah.
being infringed on. I want to be part of it while it's still available for us to use.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to self-monetize myself so that they can pay me. If I just never get money from this,
Right.
but get the views and like the sponsorship or whatever, like those type
Yeah.
of revenues.
Oh, exactly.
I don't care about what they tell me I can and can't say. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm just here to be chilling.
That's just kind of like that's truly the ongoing struggle, at least in this country, because we're definitely a capitalist society. Everything's monetized.
Yeah.
And it's like, shoot, our government, lobbyists, that's how shit happens. People like have their own idea of, like, maybe, just maybe, like politicians are like, yeah, I really want to get like a public pool put in at all of these hometowns, and they'll say something like that. And then by the time election rolls around, it's just like, they forgot they've ever even said it.
Right.
Because they've got to be in somebody's in their pocket, or they've got to be in somebody's, so they have to pick these agendas, and it's like, I don't know, the whole system doesn't function. It doesn't function. It divides people and puts them in like an obligatory position or like a full sellout mode.
Yeah.
And like that sucks. That's all the best art is usually early on where you're like, whoa, they were very much them, and then there's like this turn when like this next album comes out and then it's so mainstream and you're like, where'd they go?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, they paid their bills. That's what they did. And it's like, you don't always have to, it's a hard thing to do, whether it's creating music or doing something you're passionate about for work, you know, like, I don't know, building houses or whatever. You could do it the way that you truly want to do it, assuming it follows code if it's building
Right.
houses, or like assuming that it can be broadcast on the radio because it's not wildly offensive, but it's like you could just be genuinely you. It's just going to be harder. It's very rare that you get to fully be yourself and that the world's just on board around you, and then the finances just are there, and you didn't have to alter yourself in any way, shape, or form. But I think I'm at the point where I'm like, if I'm going to do that, I might as well. I got lucky. My wife's now got a career. She's an occupational therapist, dang good one at it, working with kids and stuff.
Nice.
And I've kind of been the career guy before that, and now that I'm like, I need this reprieve, like this is the chance where I find out I've gotten really into building guitars.
Right.
And I
You-
love.
You said that to me, but I didn't get any like reference or haven't seen any of them. Or
Oh yeah,
anything like
I'll
that.
pull some out because I mean mostly it's been modifications. I did build one from the ground up with so my friend Sean, who keeps calling me, I'm sure, about his hockey game tonight. It's gonna be dope.
Damn, what time is that up?
That's at 9,
Oh, true.
9:15. But we've created. He's such a creative guy. I've been modifying guitars, and then he was like, I want something, because he loves making beats at his house and stuff.
Cool.
And
You should hook me up with them.
yeah, oh for sure. Oh, that would be a
I
dope
rap
idea.
and shit. I
That-
would always rather make like Pink Floyd's my favorite band.
Yeah?
Of all time.
That's awesome.
I want to make real music. I hate to say it like that. I rap. I love rap.
Yeah.
But it's not like a song where there's guitars and a lot of that stuff. Like I like the
Yeah.
structure of a full
Oh,
song.
I hear you.
I want to make like Pink Floyd rap, like classic rap. That's what I call it.
It's nice how their storylines flow. Like
Right.
there's this band Coheed and Cambria. I don't know if you would have ever heard of them, but it was kind of more. It might have been 5 years too early for you or something.
Okay.
But they wound up doing albums that were like they made an entire comic book that went with the storyline of their album
That's
and stuff.
sick.
Right? And you're like, that's cool. The continuity and the storytelling is like really
Someone
neat.
did that with RZA or RZA, I think.
Yeah.
Did Afro Ninja,
Yeah.
and that's anime.
Okay.
That's with the music, so that's pretty cool too.
That's
I
badass.
like it when people do that, like Pink Floyd, The Wall. That movie is the album too.
Yeah. I do like stuff like that. Who was that? Was it? I'm gonna screw it up. Who does Hey Kirby? Is that Aesop?
Aesop Rock.
Aesop Rock
Yeah.
did I think a whole album that was like, was it like stop animation to The Shining, and they
to
redid.
the Impossible Kid album.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that's like, dude,
That's
that's
super cool. Aesop Rock and Idea are my two like biggest influences for my
dope.
rap side of influence.
Well, that's pretty big britches there. You know, like Aesop's like super incredibly lyrical, and you're like, he doesn't limit himself. He's probably got
He's the
somewhere he's
highest
got
vocab.
highest vocab for sure. Yeah, he's amazing. It's stuff like that. I love thinkers stuff. There's so much stuff where you're like, don't get me wrong, gangster rap has its place, and like it means something to certain individuals, and like if that's the life you live, that's great. But a lot of like if it's just about beef, or if it's just about acquiring shit,
Right.
like if it's just about your rims or about like cash flow, whatever, then it's like, well, you're not really showing me what you can do.
Yeah.
You know, like that's just like, all right, got out of the hood enough to make a music video, and like this is the flex for the community, which and that's your opportunity, that's your platform to be like, okay, so what do you want to say? You know?
Yeah.
Or like, are you gonna do something with this, or like
Real
what do you
good
gotta
rap is KRS-One.
Yeah.
Someone that's actually from the shit and talks about it in
Right?
an educational, uplifting the people
Yeah.
type of way.
Yes.
Or like Naughty by Nature.
Uh-huh.
You know, that's like what I see trap music should be more significant of, like symbolizing that type of thing.
Definitely.
But like 666 Mafia, I really like a lot of their stuff. But
Yeah.
You're right, there's songs that are supposed to be like hit songs. And they're not
Yeah.
significant in
Yeah.
any way, but then they have songs that are like really like about the everyday shit, and it's like
Yeah.
or something really deep that happened in their actual lives about significant others and kids, and those songs are super dope. So it's like nitpicking, finding which songs you can tell were made just for the masses.
Yeah.
And then what songs are that artist.
Are like the legit ones, yeah.
Yeah, because
for
they have
sure.
a label that's interfering. And they only
It's
let
true.
them do so much.
That's one of those things. That's selling out. I always, my brain just went to selling out as a kid. I learned that as just being like, that's just what you don't do. That's just negative connotation. But it's such a gray area and borderline necessary nowadays in the world that we live in if you want to exist. So it's, I get it. But that's one of those things where if, okay, somebody else wants you to do this and that's how you get your paycheck and that's how you keep cranking out records, then yeah, then you pepper in the stuff with your truth or with your own interests and, you know, and stay true to your following that's built off of like what you started with.
Black Eyed Peas is a very good example of that.
Yeah?
Because they started out as very truth, like
Yeah.
rap and R&B and like soul. And then they had the album The End, which is like all the party songs everyone knows.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna be up in the club.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Yep.
So they kind of sold out. But the last song on that album is called One Tribe. And
Yeah.
It's super about world peace and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
they still held their message even though they made
Yeah.
songs that were like hit songs.
Right?
And then they lost Fergie, and now they're like EDM, but they also are very involved in the community and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So it's like they never really truly sold out. Whether they had a contract that maybe
Yeah.
they did at some point, they still came around.
And that's what the grind is, that is, if you're in the music business. Is you're like, okay, I still get to express myself, but I have to do all these obligations just to get that. And it's like, is the juice still worth the squeeze? And are we doing the thing that we want to do?
Right.
You know? And some people just get to the end of their rope and they're like, this ain't worth it. But there's some people, and to that note, I would definitely give credit to Black Eyed Peas for grinding it out and like still doing that, you know? Because that's cool. That's the stuff where it's like some people it's just a light switch night and day, and you're like, this isn't even the same group.
Yeah.
You could have the same vocal sounds or like the same, I don't know, instrument, and it's like, well, the beat's completely different, and it's like the content's just about nothing or whatever, and it's still catchy because it's like they got let onto a label because they're like, you write catchy stuff that's popular, we can profit off of that. So I did find my the one that I made for Sean. So this is like, he did the artwork on the body and he just like painted it randomly however, and he tagged it up and stuff and then cleared it.
The tape, it's kind of like doing that on a skateboard.
Yeah. It's almost kind of Eddie Van Halen-ish. And then I did all the wiring. I picked out the pickups because he wanted it as a studio guitar. So it's like for all the different sounds, I was like, let's do 3 different pickups and we can combine them different ways. I did the neck. Well, the neck was purchased, but I did the tuning machines, the alignment, the install, the wiring, and then post paint, all of that. I picked the configuration too, and I was like, we'll just do it this
Where
way.
do you get parts for
Just online.
Online, you can just start it from the wood itself and just add everything onto it.
Yeah, for sure.
That sounds sick.
It's super fun. I mean, like the guitar body was like $35. So you're like, that's not breaking the bank. And
You could at that point turn anything into a guitar too. If you just
Oh,
get
yeah.
all the accessories besides the body, you could just make things. Like once you get really good at that, you could have a chessboard be your guitar.
Guaranteed,
or something.
man.
Just like weird random things.
that's what I...
I'd love to be able to make a guitar.
Yeah.
Dude, it's super fun. Honestly, it's the thing that I found that's like the most addictive hobby, that I'm like just jonesing to find people. I'm like, oh, you want a guitar? Like, let me build you one. Like, just pay for the parts itself. Free labor here. Like, just let me do this because it's so fun and relaxing. I absolutely love building stuff. Yeah. I did, this was like my telly that I bought out in Spokane, and I've completely, I swapped out the pickups. It's actually for sale right now over at Morgan Music. Took off the pick guards, so all the wiring's exposed. I redid the wiring and did a push-pull split on it and whatnot.
That's clean looking.
Yeah, it's super, and it's kind of like, it's like a clean post-apocalyptic-ish, but it's like good, clean stuff where I had fun with it. That guitar's name was Puddin', because it's a butterscotch blonde, so it's butterscotch pudding.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I love doing stuff like that.
How many guitars have you made?
Blah.
Or worked on? Like a bunch now?
Yeah, I would say primarily modified. To ground up, I would say that Sean's guitar is the only one I've like made, but I've done that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Probably like 10 guitars. I just started maybe a year ago.
Okay.
So I've just been cranking them out.
Now there's things on like the first ones or twos that you've made that now that you have more experience that you're like, damn, I should have done that better on that guitar or anything like that?
No, absolutely. Just like I'm exploring.
Okay.
So I'm treating everything not like I'm trying to execute this to make it the best thing. I just see it and I'm like, oh, this would be cool if I did this and this and this. And I haven't done any of those 3 things. So as I do it, I'm going to take notes and like how it went.
Okay.
And so I just started buying like the cheapest guitars I could. And then I'm like, let's swap some stuff out, do this. And there was some guitars that I went with different like pickup configurations and potentiometer wiring. Whereas like your volume knob, your fade, it's not every guitar just has a gradient like volume from loud to quiet or whatever. Some of them like it changes the tone as it gets quieter. And so there's so many different ways you can do it. And the 50s, they did it way different from like the 90s to like now.
Right. Yep.
And it's super simple. There's only like, you've got one knob and you're only putting 3 wires to it, but it's like, where did those 3 wires go? So you can kind of mess around and just try stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's fun to experiment with that, make new noises and shit.
Yeah, it's not like as scary as being like, I'm just gonna like try and solder a new circuit board for my computer. Like you're like, I don't know what's gonna happen then, but like this is just like a couple wires and
That's
but
cool.
yeah, I have an absolute blast doing it. And it's just been like, I'm gonna keep doing it for sure. That was a Les Paul. My friend did this Les Paul build. I don't have a finished version of it, but I did have its kind of preliminary that was like, I put in an old style pickup with ceramics and whatnot. It's kind of its own classy look, and I'd always try and divide like knobs to match like which pickup you're playing off of, but to give it its personality.
Yeah.
And I just, all kinds of stuff like that where just like, how can this be different? This is my very first guitar, which I've got an image of up here. This was my very first guitar that I got in 2005.
Okay.
My mom bought it for me for
That's
my
a
birthday.
beautiful wood.
Thanks.
Like
yeah,
that.
it's an old Ibanez. Well, not really old, but oldish now. This semi-hollow jazzy thing, and then I swapped out the pickup on it. But I named it after my grandpa, so that one's Wade. Wade Slape and the Wade Slape Trio is like the OG Slape band that like everything I like create from comes from.
Okay.
And that guitar, like he played it right when I got it. We had the same birthday too. So I brought it over for my birthday because I just got it. He played on it, and now he's passed, and now I'm like, everything he's touched means something to me. Kind of like how I'm like, I like the color brown because my Uncle Weldon liked brown, so I guess that's what I like now. So now I've got, like, this guitar is significant to me because my grandpa played, I think, all lower 48 states. Like, he played with so many different musicians, and, like, I remember going to the Country Music Hall of Fame in Nashville, and there was this room of different artists. My mom was like pointing out every third artist was like, yeah, Grandpa played with, maybe there's a picture of Grandpa. And I was like, whoa, this is insane.
That's super cool.
Yeah, so it's like, overall in the music world, it's like, he was a fairly significant, but a no name, like an opener. But to me, in my heart and the connections, I'm like, that means something.
No,
and so,
that's a lot. That's like my dream as an artist. I don't want to be Post Malone. I want to be the dude
that opened for him.
that goes to a place like Wusso's in Japan.
Yeah.
Like, I'm big enough that they'll pay for me to come to this little.
Yes.
I don't need some crazy arenas or something, or maybe deck sized in another country. Like just little things like that.
Yeah.
You can live off that, and you don't have to be. I don't want everyone to know who I am, and I have to have 400 bodyguards.
Totally. Dude, the peak of the mountain seems sketchy.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I
definitely got to do something weird to get to where some of these people are.
right? You got to sacrifice a lot usually, but I just thought, man, if you can just session artists, that's a big thing. Like that's how a lot of people make their money as musicians. At least from back out west, I went to Central Washington University, and they had a pretty notable music program. I didn't want to go to college. That was my way out of the house. So, because everything I had saved up, my mom was like, "You don't get that unless you go to college." So I just went, and that's where I learned how to party, and how to meet chicks and make out and stuff and all the good fun things.
Yeah.
It was like I went to college, and then I got like a .8 GPA and dropped out. It was freaking sweet. It was like squandered.
There wasn't much school going on.
Oh, not at all, not at all. But the thing that was there that my mom's like, you'll probably like school, and you should try it, is their music program. I wound up dating a gal that was like, she was a performance major is what she got her degree in. She was a drummer. She wound up drumming for like Macklemore and like Mary Lambert, and
Okay.
she's been on, I think she was on like Conan O'Brien and stuff like that.
Right.
But she's not like a household name or anything.
Right.
But she was a hired gun for, it's like, okay, when this artist needs a good drummer, and there's like a musicians union or something, they call and be like, I need a good drummer. And there's networks that exist. Right. I'm like, that would be so fun to just be like a session artist or like a touring like backup guitarist or something for somebody. And it's like, but choose an artist that you're not worried that you're gonna wake up and be like, somebody stole my kidney. Yeah. But you're like, yeah, and then we like gotta go to bed at like 10. And then I woke up and I was well rested. I had the best cup of coffee of my life because they can afford it.
Breakfast.
Yeah,
At the hotel.
it's like that's so chill.
I had Fruit Loops.
That's the pocket. That's where I want to be. Yeah,
I think that's the sweet spot.
Yeah.
It's like,
if you were to tour with anybody, whether you were performing on your own or backing someone up, and you had to do it for a full year, who do you think would be like your choice? Where you're like,
Whoa.
I could handle this, or I want to like see how wild it gets, or
I don't know a lot of modern music. A lot of my music choices are old or dead.
you don't have to.
But-
This can be older.
Oh.
Yeah, this can be
just in
Yeah.
just an idea. Okay.
But it would have to be relevant for them in their heyday, or in any chapter of their.
I like idea a lot. That would be cool to do that.
Yeah.
I always say, I'll answer this question a little bit different. My
Okay.
dream artists to make music with would
Yep.
be Richard Wright from Pink Floyd. He was the keyboardist.
Yes.
And then Idea or Princess Loco. Princess Loco is a 666 Mafia rapper.
Oh, okay.
But she's just super immaculate with her words. Like,
Yeah.
Very good.
Dope.
And all those people are all dead, so it would be cool to have toured with some way through them.
Yeah.
But something more present would be like Aesop, but he doesn't tour. Or even like bands like your guys's and stuff like that, like
Yeah.
being the rap part in between some rock shit.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna say I'm an emotional rapper, but I'm pretty deep and
Good.
say a bunch
Yeah.
of like crazy shit. I don't know if you.
Oh, that's
I
the
probably
dope
haven't
stuff.
even had an opportunity for you. I'll just send you someone. You
I would
like.
love to hear your stuff. Yeah.
I'm not well mixed, and I'm definitely
Doesn't
a
matter.
beginner, but
No, I feel you. I have the exact same initial delivery where I'm like, disclaimer, but like, because we're all anxious about our art, but like,
Right.
no, that sounds like something I would fully appreciate. So I would love to hear it.
my last 4 songs were made for Halloween, and they're not. They're not introspective. But
Okay.
all my other music is very introspective.
Yeah,
Me,
I'd love to hear that.
So,
You know?
yeah, so
That'd be
I
super
feel like
cool.
other artists that, like your genre, that's a lot of emotion. A lot of times people are
Yeah.
very like open and
Yep.
like yelling about their problems, and so I feel like I could perform a lot of my rap almost in that same
Yeah.
way, like almost like I was telling Army after we left last night.
Yeah.
I was like, I have this song. I'm only trying out of my compulsive tendencies, fighting in between myself and me in an odyssey and my audacity to believe I even had a part in the choice. Try to make it out to voice, blame it on or exploit my insecuriries. And I'm like, why am I rapping that? I should be screamo that. That's screamo lyrics.
Dude,
You know?
I feel you on that. I was so afraid of screaming for forever. I'm like, well, that's not me. And the type of people I knew screaming, it was like grindcore, metalcore,
Right.
black metal, and then I heard someone in between. Kane Hodder was like the first band where I was like, I like this screaming. And then it opened this mental avenue of like, there's some lyrics where you're like, this is coming out desperately or like angrily,
It has
or
to be projected
it's an
that
emotional
way.
communication. Yeah. And it's like people don't really think about that, I guess. Well, they didn't used to with rap. I would say nowadays things are different. They're definitely it's cool because rap's evolving in multiple directions.
Right.
And that's something you totally could very much do. You could do it whether or not it was popular or not. Even if it wasn't like relevant now, you're like, fuck it, it's art. You can do whatever you want.
Yep.
That would be a way to pioneer. But yeah, always get things out the way you want to get it out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
There's no selling out for me. I always say I'd rather live in a cardboard box and be happy
Right?
than to have a mansion. A lot of times to get in that position, people cut off people in their lives.
Yeah.
And then, like we were talking about earlier, if you don't make that choice to be the one in the wrong and get them back in your life, now you're just going to be rich and miserable and
Yeah.
alone. Like,
Couldn't even stand that.
I
you
would
know?
rather have good relationships with people and stuff like that, not sell out and be.
Yeah.
It's just,
Focus on what is truly valuable to you, because there's things that we were taught to chase, and then there's like everybody. It's not that everybody knows their own truth, but everybody has the potential to know their own truth.
right.
That's the thing that's like, if you can crack the code and learn your own truth, or like the things that truly mean something to you, or like what you really want to do, or what adds value, where you're like, I feel like I have something to live for because I do this. That's when you're doing it right, you know?
Yeah.
And it sucks because we get distracted by things that are like by popular demand, or like how things function nowadays.
Right.
Or you're just like, well, I thought that I wanted a big ass house, so I was like on that grind I started selling stock or whatever. Not like banging on people who like do stock market trade, but I can't imagine anybody that would be passionate about that, you know?
Right.
I just think they're like hungry, you know, and
Yeah.
they've got something else in their mind.
Yeah.
It's a conduit. It's a way to get to the thing that
Yeah.
they
And
want.
people,
Yeah.
even though that's a form of work and you're articulating and using your brain, people want the quickest, less effort.
Yeah.
How can I make the most with
Get
the
rich
least amount
quick.
of effort? And that makes sense in the survival aspect.
Yeah.
How can I get the most food? That's why I kill a moose instead
Mm-hmm.
of killing mice, because you want the big. But
Yep.
learning how that's a vice.
Yep.
You know, that's gluttony. That's greed.
So true. So true.
You know.
You know, if you want money, you can always sell body parts. They go for quite a bit on the
Yeah.
market. So,
Yeah.
but then you got to live without them.
Yeah.
So that's a thing.
Yeah. Just cut out your own kidney. Just take 100 trazodone.
Right? Is it the liver that grows back? You just cut out most of it, but then you
Yeah.
got to keep your, and it'll grow back. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. Just keep it at 2 beers a day.
There you go.
And then
you'll be good. You just got to, that's the regrowth period. That's
Yeah.
fine. So, jeez. That's awesome. Well, I think if I went on, I always thought if I'm gonna fly as close to the sun as possible with the least amount of effort, at least modern day, I was like, if it was like early era Taylor Swift and I just played guitar for her, I'm like, that would be the easiest guitar I'd ever play. And I'm like, and I don't think that she was like doing late night parties where I had to worry about running from the cops.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I could probably just be like, hey, yep, well, she's already doing it. She doesn't even know I'm here. I'm just gonna go back to the hotel. It's like 8:30, and I'm gonna get a dope steak, and then I thought like that would probably be the easiest grind for me.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one I always thought. What follow-up question to that? If there was somebody that you had to be locked in a studio with to crank out an album, say a month window at time max, and either they're creating it and you're helping them produce it, or you're creating together, who would it be?
Richard Wright again.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay. I would probably go with Mac Miller.
That would be pretty cool too.
It's like that's one where I'm like, yeah, what are you feeling, man? Like he seemed pretty transparent,
Yeah, yeah.
RIP. But yeah, that would be the one for me for sure. Yeah. I don't know if I could do like a whole band for a month or anything, you know what I mean? That'd be so hard.
Yeah, it's got to just be with another person, because you guys are going to definitely, if it's a month, there's going to be 3-4 days stretches where you hate each other.
Oh yeah.
So there's only you really realistically have like 16 days to work on this album, because the rest of it's going to be like, we're done working.
Right.
Fuck you, dude. And then you're going to get a call 2 days later like, bro, we got to get this album done.
Right.
Fine.
Yep.
don't tell me when to do this again.
And then you'll be married at the end of it somehow.
Yeah.
That's what we call it. Like at work, we say we got work wives. I learned that from when I first worked, when I was fixing airplanes for this FedEx and Hawaiian Air operator. They sent me up to Alaska. There was this guy that they warned me about. They're like, this guy's real hard ass. Turns out he's not. He's just like, he's all about getting work done. Work hard, play hard, right?
Yeah.
But he wound up being like one of the dopest dudes I ever worked with. And he was like the first person I ever heard say work wives. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, we're married to each other. Like, we see each other probably more than we see our wives.
Right.
So we better like be cool with each other,
Yes.
you know? It's like we're in this together. So if somebody's gonna provide lunch, like we gotta find a way to stomach this, even if they're not good at cooking, or like how do we get through an argument and still work forward, get our shit done, and work wives, man. But that would be studio wives for sure.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we made it through our marriage. Of like, it was intense. We made it past the honeymoon phase in the first 2 days.
Yeah.
Labor done too.
Right?
The labor and,
Yep.
birth and creation.
Yeah, birth and
Yes.
creation,
You
everything.
did this to me.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then it's a bad contract now. You're paying child support to the album. You have
Yep.
to pay them for the album forever. No!
Dude, that's how it happens. That's the split. The royalties, they go away.
Yeah.
That's alimony. Yeah.
No. Yeah. That's a cool reference to have it that way. I've thought about it that way at work, though. One of my biggest pet peeves is keep your life out of work and keep your work out of life.
Yeah.
You can find your best way to keep
If
them
you can.
separate.
Yep.
As long as it's not something that's like this. If this is my work, it's part of my life. It's different. But
Yeah.
if your work is a 9 to 5, keep your life out of it and keep your work out of your life.
Yeah.
But I go there and people are always yelling about whatever, and it's a trap because
Yeah.
it makes you want to do it too. And I'm like, I hate this. I
Yeah.
don't like talking.
You
I like talking.
Well,
Obviously,
yeah,
I'm on a
yeah.
podcast, but I don't like talking about negative things. Like everyone wants
Right?
to talk about negative stuff.
It tends to rub off. At least the negative rubs off, and then it's whatever your craft is or your benefit from work, whatever it is you do there and you're proficient at, you don't want to do at home.
Yeah.
There's a saying that's like the cobbler's daughter doesn't have any shoes.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, I don't want to make any more shoes when I
Yeah.
get
My
home.
dad
So like,
did
yeah,
not
they're all
cook, but he worked as a cook.
Yep, exactly,
Because you
exactly.
do it all day at work, you don't want to do it at
Yeah,
home.
you get burnt out. Mechanics' cars all got stuff going on with them. They're a mechanic special through and through.
Yeah.
But yeah, I lucked out in that my work doesn't need to be compartmentalized. Like the work itself, that's like water off a duck for me. I'm like, if it's not in front of me, I'm not even thinking about it. So that is my divide of my 9 to 5. But for the people that I work with, I'm so close with. And my biggest thing was that I'm a mechanic, so I'm a very colorful guy. I'm like, oh, I've heard all the words. I've said some bad words, and I've like heard some very crude things. And these are guys that are like, half the engineers I work with are like, this is my first time outside. I haven't talked with a person. And I'm like, you're gonna learn how to say fuck right now. Like that's it. And so it's just like this complete like,
That sounds cool.
oh, it's cool. It's super cool.
You know?
Yeah, it's like getting someone to smoke for the first time, but they're so square. Like,
Yeah.
And to say like, damn, her butt was nice. Like,
Yeah.
damn, bro, you just did that.
Yep.
Yeah, dab me up, homie.
Yeah, you like introduce them into this new, because honestly, diversity is the best thing ever. If you can be from one place and learn another thing, and like it's added perspective, it's periphery, you know.
Another
And so
slice to the pie.
for sure, there's so many engineers that I know now. Because when I started working on cars and planes and stuff, I'd be working on something that's in like the crappiest place, and I'm like, this sucks, dude. I just cut my hand 5 times. If I ever meet this engineer, I'm just gonna like take him out into a parking lot and beat him. And because you think it's like, I don't know, do they just hate mechanics?
Yeah.
Now I know, I'm like, it's not even about that. They don't hate anybody. They're like overloaded, like with the tasks that their boss say, we need you to design a cigarette lighter, a cup holder, a steering wheel, and all that. We need it by Friday. And you have to get that design approved and sent through all these people, and they're just panicking and oversaturated. So like shit's gonna get missed, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, that gave me empathy for sure. But then you meet these guys that are like, okay, they're a total wizard on the computer. They can design stuff, they get physics, but they don't know the people that have to put it together, or like what's difficult about
Right.
that. And to bring those worlds together, I now have more dimension and they have more dimension. Like we're both way more useful because of it. And so I bonded with these engineers, which a lot of them were actually pretty hands-on anyways before. And they're like, I really love working on my mountain bike, or like I'm big into like diesel mechanics and stuff. So you're like, okay, you could find something relatable. But those guys are my homies at the end of the day. So I get to the point where I'm like, yeah, the work rolls right off me, but also if you want to go hang out and watch a movie, that sounds great because they're like my work wife. That's also, my wife's now fully familiar with all my friends at work, and it's just like, it's a good community.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that I'm like, yeah, the work I'm tired of, but man, I would absolutely hate to like probably spend less time with these people if I didn't work there. So that's like what keeps me going every day.
True. Yeah, it's good to have those good relationships. There's lots of people at work that I'm happy when they're working, and I feel like I'm really good at being that people for people. Like I might be the only person that smiles the whole day at work. Like I try to be weird, and I'll come into the kitchen and start freestyling about them wrapping their sandwiches.
Yeah.
And they might just be like, damn, he's weird, but at least they gave them a little bit of action for their boring day, you know?
Oh, totally.
So.
I get like this weird thing. Like I said, naturally I'm kind of like shy and quiet. You put me in a vacuum, I'm not just talking. Like if I'm alone, I'm quiet. If you put me on a road trip, I usually don't even put on music, and I won't drive to the sound of the engine for like hours. I'm probably a serial killer, who knows? But like I have this thing where socially, I don't know what it is, but if it's too quiet at work, I'll just randomly like yell or like just, and because my group works up on this balcony in our innovation center. It's like where all the developmental stuff happens, but there's so much bleed out of the noise. You could be like standing 10 feet away and not hear what someone's saying. Right. You're like, wow, it's so weird. So I'm like, you could be loud here. So it's like if I see the guys like their eyes glazing over looking at too many drawings on their computer, and they're like, I will shout out boot scoot and boogie. I'll just be like, well, here we go, dos and do, like just super fucking loud as I can. And they're like, and that's become our thing. Like that's what we just do for no reason at all, or just make really weird loud sounds to see how loud we can get the echo to carry through a hangar, and like
play penis.
Yeah. Oh, dude, man, we haven't, but now we are. We're definitely gonna play the penis game. Yes. Dude,
that's funny that you say that because that's exactly what I do at work too. I'll like come out of the cooler and I'll be like, "Misioso," like I'll just start like singing some opera music to everyone.
Getting folks entertained. It's like that gets you through the day, and it's like it's just enjoyable. You know, might as well if you're like in like some sort of grind that's just like none of us really want to do this. It's a bonding moment. You're like, let's get through this, and if we can have fun with it. Like I worked at a church camp over a summer, and that is where you learn the essence of that, where you're like, well, it's raining outside, but we got to get back to the cabin, so let's play a game. And you just learn like icebreaker devices, you know, socially to get people to open up and bond. That's the stuff that really meant a lot, you know. And I'm like, I'm forever going to be a camp counselor / mechanic. Weird mix, but a good mix, I would say, at least for socially developing groups. That's kind of like the weird secret sauce that I've learned is a good way to build my work communities. So I'm like,
your interest start with being a mechanic? Like when did you decide like,
I took back in the day we had these toys called yak backs. Have you heard of those?
No.
Okay, it's literally a speaker and a button, 2 buttons, and it's like you press and hold and you talk into it, and it's like a microphone. You record your voice, and then you let go, and you can like move the wheel so it either speed up your voice or slow it down, and you play it back.
They had mics like that too that were like a fake microphone. I remember something similar to that at least.
So Yakback was like the brand YAKBAK, and I had one of those, and it stopped working. I pulled it apart to like see what was up. Had no idea what I was looking at. Put it back together, and it worked. And I was like, I fixed something. And it was like I was like hooked at that point. And then plus with the whole Slape family, like everybody was into cars. Like my uncle Randy, the third oldest, he was kind of the shining star of the family. He was a state champion wrestler and all that. and he had a '64 Chevy Malibu Super Sport, and it was he wound up passing away unfortunately when he was 19, I think. Just in a freak work truck accident, like got impaled and passed away at the side of the highway, and that was like hard for the family. But my mom wound up before that. Randy gave my mom the Malibu. Her brother sold it out from under her one day when I think she was at school or work or something, and they were like, "Yeah, we were just without asking her." She was devastated, and it was like 1998. I was riding with my mom somewhere, and the car pulled up next to us at the stoplight, and it was the exact same car. And there's like the little fender bender that she did when she was in high school, and she's like, "That's my car. That's Randy's car." Like and pulled into the parking lot, and the guy put up a for sale sign on it, and she's like, dropped everything, bought the car right there.
Really?
Yeah, it was amazing.
Wow.
And so that was like the first
It's
car.
cool when the universe does stuff like
Yeah.
that. Right?
Oh, it's just immaculate, like it was crazy. And so but that car, like the nostalgia, the family stories, but also there's something about the smell of a carburetor and leather seats and stuff where I'm like, it's visceral. It's just down in there. And I'm like, I don't know why, but I'm very affected by this right now. And it was that car that got me into cars, mechanics and whatnot. Then street racing when I got to high school and stuff. And well, just out of high school, really. I didn't even street race in high school. So that would have been like
Like
2007 or something.
Underground street racing?
Yeah. Just like, and I was a muscle car guy because I bought a Nova, a 78 Nova, and I built the motor with one of my uncles who taught me how to do it. And that was our bonding experience. That's how I got closer with my uncles. They weren't even going to let me build a V8 because it was a straight six. The engine failed on it. We were going to grab another straight six to put in it, and we took off the oil pan, and there was water in it.
Oh.
And I kept saying, like, I want a V8. My uncle's like, you're an idiot. You don't know. Like, stop. He's trying to stop me from making mistakes as, like, a boy, and that's not going to happen. You're going to make mistakes.
Yeah, you gotta learn from it.
Yeah. So we took off the oil pan. There's water in it. And he's like, and then the guy that's been a family friend for forever is like, we got a bunch of V8s laying around here. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, okay, from here on out, you don't tell your mom about anything that happens here. And so it was like the underground society of my uncles and the street racers, which wasn't super like secret to her, but she probably didn't want me into it.
Or didn't want to just know about the details.
Yeah.
I know what you do in your off time. Just don't bring it in the house and
Exactly.
don't get hurt. Yeah.
So that's what really truly got my gears going. Like, not to make too much of a joke, but it's like, yeah, that got me into wrenching.
So you had to go to school, right?
No, not really. I learned.
I always been like,
Yeah.
thinking you had to go to college or something.
No, you can learn how to work on anything. Really, it's just
Get real world experience.
to me, real world experience is unbeatable. It's there. You do have the danger of like the bias of who you learn from. But if you,
true.
right, if you're open enough to take notes from everybody and you're very hands-on and you're good at taking notes of what did work and what didn't work and you're methodical that way, you can learn how to do anything. So that's what got me into it. I didn't go to any schooling for cars, and then it wasn't until I did airplanes. I always wanted to work on airplanes. I wanted to design them when I was a kid. I wanted to be an aeronautical engineer. And I just thought, well, I'm not allowed to do that because I'm a skateboarder and I like want to be a rock star. So it wasn't until I met my wife, my grandma passed away and left me like maybe $10,000. Like a significant amount of money, but not like, oh yeah, I don't
Not
have to work.
life-changing,
Yeah.
But something that can really help you.
Yeah. And so my mom's like, check out, community college. And I was going to go do an automotive program, and I was just scrolling through the list, signing up for this college, and right next to automotive was aviation maintenance, and I was like, pfft. And I just clicked on it. I didn't tell anybody about it. Then I told Alyssa and my wife, and she was like, whoa, okay, cool. And I was like, I've always wanted to work on planes. Told my family, and they're like, that's like for smart people. I don't think you can do that. And I was like, I'm gonna do it. And then it turned my crank so much that school was a breeze.
True.
And so if it's something you're interested and passionate about, even if your learning style is different from school, you'll still persevere because you want to, because you
there's
desire
passion
to.
Filling your
there.
soul.
Yeah, and it takes a good instructor or teacher, professor, whatever, to recognize if someone thinks differently, but they're like getting it, how to meet them where they are.
Yeah, find that engagement.
Yeah,
where they can
how to
do
even
that.
learn from that person if it comes down to that. But also, yeah, how to engage and how to say this is the end goal. This is how we get here. So, but yeah, so just a freak accident. I went through aviation maintenance school. I've done 2 years of college, and that's gotten me into a position where I'm like in an exclusive group at probably the top general aviation manufacturer in the United States, maybe worldwide, and we're a developmental group. And I'm like, I went to community college, and like I used to do shrooms with my friends and skateboard when I was like, 20 years old. It doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah.
it nothing matters. It's just what do you do with what you learn,
Yes.
and what do you care about? Where do you go?
Yeah.
So,
I think that's something that it took me a while because I don't have the greatest past, and I felt really ashamed of it for a long time.
that's a bummer,
And then
you know?
Joey Diaz, who's another podcaster, he talks
Yeah.
about breaking into people's houses all day, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I can still do, like, I'm a good person now, and I can pursue these passions without being held down from those things.
Exactly.
And it just, like, gave me a lot of freedom. Mm-hmm. Even though those things are still things I did in my life, I just, like, it's not a brick wall anymore where I'm, like, afraid to
all.
move on. Like, you got to move on from that.
It's a
And you can
device.
be a pothead skateboarder and grow up to be a mayor.
Yeah, you
You know,
could. You really, truly can. You can do anything.
And like you were saying, most people, or I don't know, but most people in their fields are impacted by it for some way. So like a lot of police officers and stuff like that grew up in the hood and stuff
Yep.
like that. Like it's usually,
And then they met a good cop, and that really like resonated deep with them. Or maybe they only were around shitty cops, and they're like, I want to be not that. I want to be what a cop should be in my eyes, and
Yeah.
then they're inspired in that regards. But yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Completely agree. So,
fuck,
oh yeah, man.
You got anything to add to that?
I have one question.
What's up?
What's your favorite aspect about your life, day to day, or just in general?
Oh,
Like, could be music, could be going to a
Dang.
pond, or, you know.
that's a lot. Oh, wow. I didn't know. I guess I'm going to get choked up right now. That's cool. I'm incredibly lucky right now. So it's like, it took a lot to find a phenomenal partner. Okay. My wife has probably got to be the best part of that. But I've got all these other competing like best aspects of my life below that. That's like, I've got homies from work. I get to make music now. This is the first time I've gotten to make music where I'm not like, I just wanted to play my guitar, but I'm kind of playing with this person I really don't agree with, and they're sketchy, and there's none of that. Like I'm playing music with my best friends, and I get to get stuff out, and I get to relate to people. I'm lucky enough to live in Minnesota right now, which if I could, I would live here for the rest of my life. I know my wife's ready to move back to Washington, and we're figuring it out, but I have so many things to be grateful for, and sometimes you're like, you have a bad day, and you start to think about all the shit that sucks, but you don't. It takes a lot to step back and be like, there's so many things that are going right now, and honestly, that question just did that. So thanks, man.
We appreciate your time. It's been awesome talking to you, man.
Thanks, thank you. Thanks for letting me get weird at the end. That was good.
Oh, that's awesome. That's what I want. This is a good open platform for people to get
Yeah.
deep about shit and not just be
Yeah.
plastic. Like I want that. That's good. That's genuine.
Right? For sure, man.
Yeah, and that's a good perspective too. Because yesterday I was talking about just being appreciative of like limbs because I have really bad eczema. When I had that on my hands, it made me so thankful I even had hands.
Yeah.
And just like
Right?
those little things in your life, like our lives are so much better than like so many people.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
And someone at work always says, if someone says, "How are you doing?" He always says, "I'm living someone else's dream." And
Yeah.
that's so true. You could be having
That's
the worst
solid.
day ever,
Yeah.
but it's someone else's dream. They wish they could have your day.
So true, man.
So that's good perspective too.
Very, very good perspective. I would say that undiagnosed, but I totally have to struggle tons with depression like every day.
Yeah.
And I try to be a shining light because I'm like you kind of want to be what you see out there. Like if you do it, you'll emulate it. Somebody else will be that other
you.
thing that you can hang on to. So it's like, and I found that being a very common thing with a lot of people that are depressed or struggling with something is that, the ones where it's like, oh, nobody saw it coming, and they take their own lives.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, it's really nice to be able to do that, but also to get to see that flourish around you. And if you make sure to be mindful and go, things aren't so great right now, but somebody else could give me the added perspective I need to carry on. Sometimes they're not around for it, and it's like challenge yourself to do that on your own,
Right.
Like, how bad is today really? Is today the worst day of my life? No.
No.
I definitely remember that one. That day sucked.
Yeah.
We're not there, we're cool.
Yeah.
So it's like carry on, be strong, and like be okay with talking with other people. Open up. The more you open up, like the more of a treat you're in for, it seems like,
Yeah.
I feel like we're all afraid to like get hurt by people or like be embarrassed by what we want to share.
Vulnerability.
Yeah, just
Scared to be
vulnerability. Yeah.
Especially as
Process
men.
problems too.
Right?
When you need to talk to someone or just to communicate.
Yeah.
Word or not.
No,
For
there's
sure.
been days where it's like, all right, I'm walking to Miller Dewan from somewhere in the woods. I'm like, I'm going there. That's or it's like a mental health place down at the hospital.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm just going here. But then a friend picks me up, and within 30 seconds, my whole life's different.
Yeah.
Because you just need to have like that reassurance or just something to distract yourself that's actually positive or
Totally.
productive or something like that.
And be open to that opportunity too.
Yeah. Most people are afraid to cry,
Right?
and like obviously don't be a bitch, but
It's a fine balance.
But
It's
if
a fine balance.
you know you shouldn't be afraid to be yourself. And if that's like,
totally.
my life I feel is super overwhelming, you shouldn't be like, oh, you're a bitch or that. Like, no, like
No,
it's okay to-
recognize when it's a real thing, like
Yeah.
don't become overly sensitive and then destroyed by absolutely everything around you,
Right.
but like know to acknowledge when you got some shit to work through. And a real good homie will meet you where you are. There's a really cool biblical term, like an old one called sitting Shiva. I don't know if you know that one. It's I'm sure it's like a Hebrew thing or something like that. But it's the act of like somebody's just like broken and just like crying crumpled on the floor, and then it's somebody coming up and they're like, I guess I'll cry with them too, As just being there. It's not like, okay, I got to fix this right now. I got to slow it down or whatever. But it's like just parallel existence.
True.
And like community in that. And it's like that's a craft that I'm like I want to get better and better at that because and it's not for every single moment, but there are very specific like vital moments in life where you're like that was the only right way to get through that.
True.
I'm like that's something I want to get better at for
Yeah.
sure. So.
I feel that. I feel
Yeah.
like there's a wanting to fix things. Like you're
Yep.
saying, that person.
I'm a
wants to
friggin'
fix it.
mechanic, dude. I know
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, I could fix this.
Yeah.
I have a wife. She is now a project car. I'm like, you had a bad day? Oh, I'm going to fix this. It's like,
Right.
don't
They
fix
don't
it
want
every
that,
time.
yeah.
Yeah.
And even though you think you have such good information, like I could fix this right now. It's
Right?
this simple. You just have to
Yep.
turn that off.
Yep. You just have to say, yep. Oh, yeah, that does suck. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes that's what you got to do. So,
And that I take that day to day with just like meeting people.
Yeah.
And just like you don't know what people are going through, so you just treat everyone the same.
yep.
You don't need to be overly nice, but just be respectful.
Oh, for sure.
Just day to day respectable behavior for everyone.
Definitely. Yep. Don't be a douche.
Don't be a douche.
That's when I did youth ministry. I told kids, they're like, well, so what's it all about? I'm like, really, the Bible is just kind of like a manual. Is like how to not be a dick.
Yeah.
Like it's like don't suck. Just try this. It's all the hard stuff, but it'll give you just enough things to.
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't even have to get into it religiously, but just try and learn a thing here or two.
Yeah.
And they're like, wow, that kind of worked out.
Yeah. Become aware of the things that, like I say, the 7 deadly sins. Like those are things that are like prominent in everybody's life,
Oh, totally.
and like you can see which ones really affect you.
Yep.
And which ones like you know that you're like, oh, I'm better than that.
Right.
You know.
For sure.
So.
I feel that, man. Well, today's been absolutely amazing. I'm probably cooked chicken right now, so yeah, dude. This is pretty dope.
Hell yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed this experience.
Yeah, I did too. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
Slape.
man.
Where do I find you? Bandcamp?
Bandcamp. Slape.bandcamp.com. Yep. Or on Instagram. Slapemn.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'll put it in the bio.
Yeah, do it. We're just always happy to play music, share with folks, and have a good time. So
Fuck yeah. Yeah, last night your performance was dope too.
we had a blast. I was the most anxious I've been in a very long time for no reason. It was like my first show all over again. But I got through it. I had a blast and ready for the next one.
Hell yeah.
I
Yeah.
was inspired. It was-
Yeah?
I enjoyed it.
Dope. Thanks, man.
Yeah, I had a good time too. It was cool.
Yeah. Just glad to make good sounds,
Do you think you felt that way because it was like your first big venue? Like you were saying, it was that full. Or
No,
that full?
that was the smallest venue we've played that's that full, and we filled out both others.
Okay.
So it's like the music scene out here is insane. So like our very first show, I think we wound up with a reported head count at the door of 160, and that was at Jade Fountain. So that was
Damn.
like it was nuts, yeah. And people have been amazing the whole time. It was our first time that we headlined, so we're at the end of the night. And you've
True.
like Bellerpuss, they're a powerhouse for sure. Chippy's phenomenal. We're familiar with Chippy, but yeah, they're crazy good. But we're like, okay, that's two punk bands, and they're playing first. So all the real proper punk heads, they might just boogie, and we might be, playing to the janitor. And then it was that full. I was like, I did not pace myself for this right now.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, okay,
Were you a little one or too many beers?
No, not even. Well, it's because I was like talking all night because I'm the vocalist and we're like shouting in a loud place and stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any water. So I'm like, that's like not what you do. So I got up there. I was like hoarse and tired. And I was like, we'll see what happens. And then I was just like, these people are here. This is the first time I felt people were here. That you're like, this is undoubted. When you're the closer and people are still there, you're like, they want to be here to watch. Yeah, no worries.
Oh, did it? It's
Did it?
You ran out of storage.
Oh, you're good.
Perfect.
But yeah, that was the first time when you're like, okay, the math at the end of the night is there's a shit ton of people here. It's because they want to see you, and it was like undeniable in that regard.
Yeah.
And then I was like, fuck, I gotta entertain these guys for sure. Let's entertain them. So I got like anxious about that.
True.
The other ones I'm like, yeah, we're just kind of fitting into the bill and we'll just make sounds and see if people like
Okay.
us. But this time we're like, these people came out here for us,
Yeah.
So it was cool.
Do you guys usually play it like often? Do you guys do shows?
That was our third show.
Okay.
So yeah, we're pretty new. We play 328 at Caddy Shack, and then we'll play probably 412 at Jade if we do that one, and then we're gonna play Homegrown. We did make Homegrown.
Oh, really?
We're gonna play a Saturday
Sick.
night, so that'll be like May 3rd.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty dope. Trying to
I'll have
get
to
set up
come
at
out for that
Blacklist.
for sure.
Yeah, it'll be a good time out at Carmody. So hole in the wall, good time, great. So
I'm curious. When did you start your event? All come together to make the band?
we all met at work except for the lead guitarist, and we just started jamming over at Mikey's house, the bass player.
Yeah.
And it was like therapy, I guess, where we're like, and I'm not a jam guy. Before I met them, if somebody's like, yeah, let's jam, you're good at guitar, and I'm like, that's because I learned something and learned how to play it. Like, I could improvise as I wrote, but I wouldn't like do it around other people, so I got really anxious about that. And then those guys, it just turned into like, go down to the rec room, just fling around, make sounds, and we had a blast. And then I was like, I want to write stuff. I already had some stuff written, but I was like, I want to write more shit about my friends here and how much I love Minnesota, and then and also about my family, because I went through quite a bit of loss like as the band started to exist. So like grief last night, that was about my Uncle Weldon passing.
Okay.
Actually, it was about his wife passing and then that house being fully empty for my cousin. And I went back to Washington and we went through all these instruments and stuff in storage, like old car shit, and it's like everything is intense and sentimental, but also like incredibly valuable. So like I wound up bringing back a guitar, like a $10,000 guitar from 1937 that I'm like, and my grandpa played most of the, probably 40 of the states with this guitar, and it's like he did his radio shows with it. And
That's
so
super sentimental. That's super
yeah,
cool.
so it was like a deep thing, and I'm like, I get to do a diary entry, and then I get to play it with my homies, and then we get to do something with it. And now it's
I
like,
like that.
yeah, so that's kind of like how it evolved and became, and now that's what I do. So, and I can't imagine not doing it, at least for now.
Right.
Taking full advantage of it before we
Yeah.
move. So,
Yeah, dang.
It's nice to see old pictures of family. Like I saw a couple of my
Right?
grandma, or there was a flood when I was a kid, so all of our pictures got ruined.
Yeah.
So it's hard. They're all stuck together, and you can't really see all of them. So when you get to see the
Yeah.
the few that survived, it's awesome.
It absolutely means the world to you.